Billy. Yo, what's going on? This is the youngest in charge, Leon Slater, and you're listening to the Sports Jedi Network. You get me?
You're watching Jedi Sports Network with Kev.
I'm Tom Hannafin from TNA Wrestling. You're watching the Jedi Sports Network.
Tune in to Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports Jedi Network channel. May the sports be with you.
What's up, Kevin? It's me, Miles Bourne. I just want to come on here real quick and say thank you for your support. I really appreciate it, and the fact that you're there every Tuesday really means a lot to me.
Hey guys, this is Elena Black, and you are watching Sports Jedi Network.
This is AJ Francis, and you're with Sports Jedi Network.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Happy Saturday. Welcome here to the Sports Jedi Media Network channel here on the new YouTube page, new YouTube channel, but the same grind and the same hard-hitting wrestling content that we give you each and every week here on the Sports Jedi's weekly wrestling wrap-up. We are sponsored by Dude Wipes. Stay fresh, stay clean, stay ready. Sports Jedi Network and Dude Wipes are wiping out the competition. And, of course, G Fuel Energy. Fuel your soul, fuel your stream. GFuelEnergy.com and Blackout Coffee. Go out to Blackout Coffee. Stand up, wake up, never back down. Go to blackoutcoffee.com. Use my promo code SportsJedi20 and save 20% off. And for your G Fuel, go to PGH Chris as your checkout and save on there. Gentlemen, we are back. It's been a week. We haven't spoken. We haven't talked. Good to see you guys. I hope we're going around the horn there to say happy Saturday, Chris.
Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday, Hoss. Happy Saturday, Kev. Happy Saturday, everybody here joining us on our new YouTube channel. Yeah, you know, we had some new champions this week and some companies, a return of a former WWE wrestler last night, and a bullshit announcement return from a former AEW world champion. A lot of things came out this week. We're going to talk about it.
And let's go to the man with the hard-hitting facts who hits the truth just like your hygiene. What's going on, Hans?
Hello, everyone. You know what it is. Wellness check, everybody. Did you wash yourself today? Did you make you some money today? And did you move your body today? The host is going to tell you this every Saturday without fail. I want you to wash up, clean it up, make you some money today, and move your freaking body. I want you to be healthy, clean, and I want you to be rich. So let's have some fun. Yeah, like Chris said, a lot of things happened this week. We're going to dissect it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have some fun. So let's get after it, guys.
Let's get after it. One of the first things that happened this week that kind of changed not just the course of professional wrestling, but our channel. You know, we knew that something happened where our channel got hacked. Something got messed up with the password of the email, all that good stuff. And now we had to move over to the Sports Jedi Media channel on our YouTube page, and it took us a little bit of a crazy roller coaster. So if you're watching us on X, on all the other different platforms that you normally listen to us, we thank you in advance for coming over and subscribing to our new YouTube channel and help us grow there. We're trying to work on getting our old YouTube channel back, and that's just pretty much what has happened. There is no kind of help with the YouTube or the Google people. All they do is send you around in circles. We kind of want to get our old YouTube channel back on. If anyone from the YouTube platform or the YouTube Google offices can help us, you can see the IP address has always been from the state of Florida, and now the new one that got hacked is across seas. So please, we ask you, I don't care about the email address. I just want access back to my YouTube channel on the Sports Jedi Network. It was on bsjedi76@gmail.com. That was hacked, and I can't get into that email to retrieve my lost account because it's hacked. So, and I can't even use my cell phone. So I wanted to start that on that note. I'll put it on a live view because obviously the AI sees that. If someone shows a boob, a female shows a boob, it gets flagged. So hopefully someone can listen and see this where we could get some help on our YouTube channel. I just wanted to start that off first and foremost there. And yeah, let's go. Which company do you guys want to start first? WWE, All Elite Wrestling, and we got some TNA because we got some slap nuts, Dark Side of the Ring. So I don't know where you want to start off. I got notes for all that. I'm ready to go which direction the wind takes us here this afternoon. I'm locked and loaded.
I'll go AEW.
Let's go beach break. Let's go beach break. Where, boy, you needed a break from that. Let's go right into it. We got a new All Elite champion where we got Mr. Transitional himself. MJF drops the title to Kenny Omielda. I'm gonna say this aesthetically, it looked great because it's Clearwater, Florida. It was wonderful. We saw all different things happen. We've seen the Don Callis family gain more power in AEW once again. Do you guys want to start in the women's division? You want to start at the world title picture since I brought it up? Or do you want to start at the mid card? Where do you want to go? I'm going to go with Haas on this because, by the way, you guys got to see each and every Wednesday night the Dynamite Bros breaking down AEW. Dynamite doing a great job. Haas, what's the one thing that we need to start off this conversation here?
We got to start off with the World Championship because it's tearing the fan base apart. We got people that want, Ospreay and Omega at All In. We got people that are saying that MJF has gotten buried effectively because he's lost the title twice this year. And on TV, not at the pay-per-views, but on national television. So we need to discuss that because the fan base is actually eating at itself pretty much about this.
Chris, let me ask this. Is it warranted for the fan base to really be at a civil war with one another and division?
Yeah. I'm one of those fan bases that is in the Civil War.
I would love to hear from your thoughts. Yes.
I'm sorry if I go a little too long here.
No, go take your time. We haven't talked in a while. Go for it.
This is ridiculous. I said this on Wednesday. I don't want Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay at all. I might be the only person in the world that wants the triple threat match to happen. Why do I want the triple? I don't want it anymore. Now it can go fucking kick rocks. It does not make sense. Why did I want the triple threat match? How hard was it for AEW to give me a feud with MJF and Ospreay and then just add Kenny Omega into the match? How hard was that? You already had the feud going on from Dynasty between MJF and Kenny Omega. It would have made sense for him to get added. MJF getting added into this makes no sense. That's why the triple threat option is dead, and I hate it because that is the biggest match that this company could do that's not recycled. How many times do you guys want to see fucking Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay? We saw it twice. This last match isn't going to deliver any much more than they did the last two matches, especially at Forbidden Door. I think a lot, again, I agree with some people when they say, I think Tony, he sees that the sickos want Ospreay and Omega because like people, like Aaron in the chat, the story is Ospreay and Omega because Kenny Omega sits back there and talks to Ospreay so he doesn't join the Death Riders. Yeah, that's the story we're going in for with Wembley, right? Why? Why is the story between Ospreay and Omega? Oh, I don't want Ospreay to join the Death Riders, so I got to make sure that that's what it feels like. Again, people like Aaron will be the reason why Tony books for the sickos and doesn't book for logical television. Kenny Omega is the most boring main event level wrestler in the entire business. And you're going to tell me TV from now until All In is going to be interesting? No. The only interesting way that this feud is going to carry on is if Ospreay turns on Omega in Canada. But people like Aaron aren't going to love it because, AEW can't have their biggest babyface losing or becoming a heel and winning it in his home country. See, that's where you AEW sickos don't make sense. It does not make. Why don't you guys want something different? We bitch and complain all year about how safe wrestling has been, but we don't want to do anything fun. You guys are really gonna sit here and complain, not you guys, but the sickos, about Ospreay turning heel. That's the only way, in my opinion, that I'm going to be interested in watching this feud. I'm not speaking for the sickos. I'm not speaking for anybody. I'm speaking for myself. Because I've seen this already. I've seen this storyline when it was at its fucking peak. Just because people have matches doesn't mean there's a story there. I don't want to see it, guys. It's something I've already seen. It's not the bigger match, in my opinion. The bigger match is MJF and Ospreay, but the bigger match that I want to see is the triple threat. And now they can't have it. And it's, again, or Ospreay doesn't turn heel or turns on the Death Riders. That's fucking safe. That's boring. That doesn't make for fun television leading up to your biggest show of the year. You guys want to see two baby faces going at it, all because we're going to get hidden blades and V-triggers, and it's going to be this 5-star classic? That's what we care about now for this company going into the biggest show, instead of a great storyline build-up. Again, they could fix themselves with Will Ospreay turning heel at Redemption in Kenny Omega's hometown and him putting the patch. Why didn't we see Will Ospreay put the patch on Beach Break? That's already something to the story that they already blew over. Chat, I'm sorry for the rant, but I'm not excited like all these AEW fans are.
No, that's why we gave you the floor, Chris. I'm gonna ask this to Haas with a part of what Chris was saying. Seeing that right now, the owner Tony Khan booked for the star ratings, and he's looking for the star ratings and the excitement of the match, of the banger match, of the star rating, not the storyline. Could it be this is the reason why he went with Omega and Ospreay, because he's looking for that 7-star match, because it's because Tony Khan gave it to the sickos and all that stuff? Or did the influence of the lack of ticket sales across the pond made him pivot away from MJF, which we all know. We know, we've been hearing nausea and verbatim saying that MJF is the face of AEW. We said it many times, but maybe he's thinking that way, something different, huh? Your thoughts?
I have no interest in Omega and Ospreay, and it's just because I don't like their promos that going at each other. It's all this soft and hugging and all bro and I'm not your dad, you're not my father, and this and this. Like, it sounds like children talking. I want grown men with edge talking, and that's the problem here. Like, we up here got these two faces, which that's a big dynamic I am sick of in wrestling today. It goes on with the other company too that we're going to talk about very soon. But I'm sick of face on face encounters. It divides the fans. It doesn't give you a person that's good or bad, which wrestling was built on. Like, think about it. These are orchestrated, synchronized fights. You have the power to create all the drama in the world going into these fights. And you're going to tell me we're going to have two good guys going at each other all the time. It's no fun. It takes the investment out of it. We're like, oh man, it's going to be a banger. That's how we're going to know. It's going to be a banger. Like, I want to see a good build that's going to make me invested into this match. Man, I don't care. We can talk about moves all we want to, but we're not going to talk about this match 3 weeks from now. I'm talking about after All In. We're going to just say, oh, man, that was a good show, and that was it. Like, nothing is going to be groundbreaking, because we just saw at Forbidden Door a guy kick out of 6 hidden blades. I just threw a number out there, but you can guarantee it's probably 6 of them. So Omega's going to probably kick out of 6 of those. And then Ospreay's going to kick out of 10 V-triggers and a 1-winged angel. And it's just like, it's bigger. People are not going to understand me when I say this. Wrestling is bigger than matches. Point blank, period. Like, we had an interview with Leon Slater a few weeks ago, and the biggest thing that he said in that interview was, he said TNA is the biggest variety show on television right now. Keyword, variety. We have to have something for everyone who watches this show. If you're just a sicko for moves and just, oh man, false finishes, That's just a small part of wrestling. It's way bigger than that. And that's why I don't have much investment in this, because it's going to bore me. Kenny Omega, I have fatigued of Kenny Omega. And people are going to say, well, we don't have that much time left with Kenny Omega. Well, you know what? Honestly, I don't care, because he's not compelling. I don't care to see V-triggers all day. I don't care to see, because they're going to protect that one-wing angel like it's just the most devastating move in wrestling. Newsflash, it really ain't. But that's neither here nor there. And then with Will Ospreay, they need to stop dangling this carrot in front of our eyes with the Death Riders. Are you in or are you out? That's where I want to go with this. The Death Riders need to give him an ultimatum immediately. Are you with us or are you against us? And let's truth be told, you up there in MJF's business with that ring. Why are you going out there? You already got your title shot. Why do you care who you're going against in All In? That's a bigger deal. Why do you care? Why do you care about Kenny Omega? Like, you're supposed to be caring about winning the championship. If it's MJF, it could be Leo Rush. It doesn't matter. Why are you influencing who you're going against at All In? You should be prepared for anybody. That's all I'm saying. It's just, it doesn't bring investment for people who really want to watch the show. It's just like, oh man, we're just a sucker for moves. And so they shouldn't book our TV shows. People who are suckers for moves should not book our TV shows.
But now that the company has been around for 6 years, we already know what the company is. The owner and the fan base, they want to hear. They get excited. You see this screenshotted, retweeted, yada yada from Cage Match, the star rating from Meltzer. That's all that company's based on. Their legacy of that company is in that type of audience or that type of clout. So why at this point you're expecting something different? It's like, it's the definition of insanity when it comes to All Elite Wrestling. I told you this around WrestleMania. I'm not trying to say I know
you
this.
Did. I thought of it right away. You told me behind the scenes too that this match was going to happen.
And I didn't want to. I don't want to be here and say I told you so. No. If you look at the cookie crumbs of the company or what the owner's mission statement or what he stands for, is providing the best moment match for that particular fan base. He's not in the business of wanting to tell you stories and getting you hooked and excited on how they got there. He just wants to provide you with the best All Elite action on that case in point for you to shell your $49. Now, this is the point I want to talk about with you guys. We know that's going to happen. We can't change that. We know what the owner, the billionaire boy, wants, and he's going to get what he wants. But let's talk about what's happening at the moment here, where Will Ospreay did put on that patch, but they didn't make a big deal out of it. He happened, and I think he said that if you look at Dynamite, he says, they like kind of glossed over it. Oh, he got the patch on. And I'm with you, Chris. They should have made an introduction, and I'm going to quote Bully Ray and Dave LaGreca yesterday. Yes. They had a great point.
They had a great conversation about this.
Beautiful job on them. We hammer them when they don't do certain things, but we got to give them credit when they do some great stuff. When he says, "I can't put this patch on," and they're going to think that he don't want it because I need you to put it on me. I was like, "Yo, that was fucking great." Simple simplicity, Chris. It would have been like, yo, that's fucking great. And then Ospreay's off and running with the Death Riders. Sometimes I think Chris and Haas, Tony Khan does things and then he waits to see what's the reaction, what gets the loudest buzz and screams and yells from either the critics, and then he pivots on what the storyline. He doesn't really it shows that he is not, he's a great guy business-wise, financial-wise. He is like Panda Energy to TNA right now, and we're gonna talk about that later. But the thing is, when it comes to storytelling, boy, he's Dixie Carter, and we'll talk about.
My thing with this is I wanna like the match. I really do.
So do
I don't want to come here and just be panning it and talking shit about it. I just told you no, it's gonna be a banger, but the thing about all bangers are not built the same. And I wanted to make sense. Like, you just want to go up here and just have these two so-called big names wrestle in their faces. The dynamic sucks. That's the problem. That's the whole problem with this, because the Death Riders will not commit to being heels or faces. Will Ospreay will not commit to being a bad guy or a good guy. Kenny Omega is this good guy that's boring as shit. And like, it's not good television. That's what I root for. I do not root for no individual wrestlers, even though I do like MJF and a few guys. I do like them, but I root for good episodic television every week. And all of these wrestling companies are struggling with that because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They want to just, oh man, these guys, the fans just love moves. They love suplexes. They love elbows. They love arm bars. Yeah, they don't care about stories anymore. They just want this action. And no, that's why the ratings are in the toilet. Because people do not, because everybody, newsflash, this is fake. It's orchestrated. It's a dance. Yeah, people do get hurt. So I'm not going to, people come at me in the mentions. Oh, people get hurt. It can't be fake because people get hurt. This is a physical work. That's what it is, a physical work. You have all the ability to make this interesting, but they don't understand it. They do not understand in 2026, and that's why wrestling is more niche than it's ever been, because they're boring. That's why other content creators, some of the bigger ones in the space, says this shit is boring because they're not exploring what they need to be exploring. The stories don't hit, and people be like, oh man, they do tell stories. The stories don't hit. That's the problem.
Let me ask this here. You still got 6 weeks left, a little over 6 weeks left before we get to the big pay-per-view in across the pond. There's still time here to get to that end of the line. Yes, the time is running out. I grant it, and the stories are not captivating or exciting right now. I think to me, it seems like he's more invested on promoting the venues that he's going to put on his shows rather than the episodic week-to-week build. Is that something you see there, Chris? Or am I talking out of
sometimes it right now maybe a little bit, but again, I just don't know why he doesn't see the bigger picture in front of him. He if he's worrying about selling tickets, I mean, that's fine. I'm not going to, he has to sell tickets for the big show. I get that, but there's going to be way more people watching at home here than there will be in the stadium. MJF would have made a weekly episode of TV show going into the main event much more interesting. They already started doing that 2 weeks ago, and then they did it before their main event where MJF and Will Ospreay had that brawl and he spit in his face. Again, all you had to do was have MJF win and add it. But how can they make this interesting? Like I said, have Ospreay turn heel at Redemption. That is the only thing from here till Wembley that, in my opinion, I'll be like, oh, okay, now we actually might get somewhere. Because Hoss, Kev, if this is gonna be like this throughout all of till August and Redemption, there's nothing really going there. Why are we watching Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay, except again to see a bunch of V triggers and hidden blades? It's going to be, mind you, it's going to be a phenomenal match. No one's discrediting that. These are two of the best wrestlers in this company, but it's how you get there and why people want animosity, like Hoss said, and there's just right now there's none of that, and they had the chance, like Kev said about Bully Ray, what he said about that patch. Something so small. Oh, is Ospreay heel? And then we anticipate Redemption. That's the start of anticipating Redemption. I said this Wednesday. I said this last week. I'm saying this again. Redemption has to be the key part on how this feud or the build altogether for Wembley Stadium starts. So by Ospreay putting on that patch or Moxley putting on the patch, whatever, by them making a big deal out of the patch, to me as a fan, it gets me questioning and gets me thinking, is he actually going to turn heel? Is this official? We don't know yet. At Redemption, when they do it, now there you go. They have something going there for the next month. That's the only way to me I can get it behind this, guys.
Let me ask this.
Hold on, before you go, okay, I want to address one thing what Aaron said. Aaron says Will Ospreay is going to be the next Kenny Omega. if I'm Will Ospreay, I would take that as a slap in the face because Kenny Omega can't draw 1 million people. He can't do it. He can't do it. And if I'm Will Ospreay, I set my sights higher. We're going higher. That's the thing. I'm not doing the acknowledge thing right now. We're going to go higher. So if you want to settle at 700,000 people and struggling to get TV deals, go ahead and be the next Kenny Omega. We want people to come and watch the product, not the same people who are guaranteed to come every week. Will Ospreay is not a draw. I said it. I said it. He's not a draw. Man, he's a great wrestler. He's not good on television. He's not. So unless he gets his promos better and becomes a person with edge like Jon Moxley wants, and become more compelling, I don't want a new Kenny Omega. I don't want that. I want someone better. Because we can go back. We talked about this on Wednesday. The biggest draw to come through AEW was CM Punk. They was up here getting 1 million+ views every week. I would rather be the new CM Punk than rather be the new Kenny Omega. I'll leave it at that.
No, that's fair what you said with that. That's a fair statement. Look, again, Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay kind of seems like they're the same in a way. They look like they're kind of like on the same plateau level. Only time will tell. This is why I think you guys get frustrated as fans that want to see storytelling, because you want the creative and the booker to help these uber talented performers who could give you 7-8 star matches to be compelling if they had great storytelling and simple. A patch would have been like, oh damn, now you're seeing Ospreay another level. Just the simple inklings, those little details, or you know, those little specific details to the story makes the story, elevates the story. And I think that's where you guys are frustrated when it comes to All Elite Wrestling with their storytelling, because they move too fast. They don't let nothing breathe. And when they try to tell story, it kind of feels cheesy or like, really? It feels like, really? That's the story we're going with?
Yeah, the thing about it's more so angles than stories.
Yes.
That's what goes on at AEW. Like, it's not big storytelling. They're short-term angles. Not much long-term storytelling. That's where a lot of people get it mixed up. Like, there's a difference between telling a story that goes a long arcing story and an angle that just goes for a week or two. That's a big difference, and a lot of people get it mixed up. So that's what AEW, they like to play mind tricks with you and just say, "Oh yeah, we got a story here," but it's more so an angle.
So let me ask this question: going into redemption, who's getting redeemed? What's the redemption angle to the whole story? What they're redeeming? They're being redeemed. They're redeeming themselves because they're going back to. They have an opportunity to go back to Canada. That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm getting right now. The story redemption, because
I got Mercedes Moné redemption. That's what I got. That's what I see out of it.
If Kenny Omega would have won this match at Redemption, I still wouldn't have liked it, but at least it would have made sense.
Okay,
I get that. I see Mercedes Moné and probably Hangman Page. Those are the two.
Well, he already spoiled that.
Yeah, Tony. What the fuck is Tony thinking? By having Hangman Page announce Hangman Page's return on social media on a random collision. Nobody's going to watch. There's World Cup games and Conor McGregor's fighting his first fight in over 10 years.
Chris,
maybe that's why.
I gotta tell you, Chris, it's in Roanoke. It's in Virginia. It's in his neck of the woods. That's why he's coming back in collision.
Who cares? I'm sick of wrestling companies, and we'll talk about it later, booking for the hometown moment. Why? Don't get me wrong. I'm not comparing this to the other one we got at all. Do not get me wrong. But this is boring. This is a collision on a fucking random Saturday when he could have came back last Wednesday.
Hey, Chris, go ahead, Kev. Go ahead.
I think what Tony Khan failed, he's not going to capitalize on his greatest audience on Collision. I think there is a niche, there is a cult following when it comes to Collision, in a minority group. I think he should have saved it for a bigger audience to garner even a larger return. where there's so much being consumed tonight on a Saturday night, whether, like you said, the World Cup, the UFC has a big international fight week for the UFC where you have a big matchup of a man who is polarizing in that world that hasn't fought in 10 years, getting back into the octagon. And you also have some AAA, which that's also a small niche audience, but still, there's a lot of priorities out there, and it's a summer night. And it's going to be tough. And maybe he announced that thinking that's going to draw an extra 10K, which instead of looking at the bigger picture where you have your garden, your larger audience and viewership, and that could get cycled in throughout the work week where Hangman might be coming back on Wednesday, whatever, or on a pay-per-view with your bigger audience. But here and there, I think he's his poor choice. If we could agree or disagree if you think it was or wasn't, but I think he should have waited to capitalize a bigger buzz, because even let's newsflash, even if the people over the weekend are not really going to talk that much.
Kev, I say this. We just had Beach Break. We just had a title change. Will Ospreay came out there and took that diamond ring out of MJF's finger. Now, if you substitute Will Ospreay with Adam Hangman Page, don't you think the pop would have been way bigger if he came in there and did that interference? Yes. That's what I'm saying. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. That's what they don't they're not capitalizing on things that actually can happen. Because I know Aaron disagrees, but no one cares about what's going on in Roanoke, Virginia tonight. Nobody. Adam Hangman Page is not going to add 100,000 new fans. Well,
no, and I want to say this.
Go ahead.
I want to say this. ESPN, all the sports media outlets are talking about how McGregor's return. So I'm sorry, you're in the vocal minority. Don't shit on the UFC with especially McGregor, because people are talking about it. That's going to outdraw the casuals, the non-wrestling, the sports bars are going to get full. Buffalo Wild Wings to
my casino will be popping tonight up here. My local casino.
Trust me, to see McGregor fight, they're not going to do the same.
And you can gamble
for you. You're not going to see the same thing for Hangman Page. I'm sorry, I disagree on that comment.
Nobody's going. No, dude. Yeah, let's all go to the casino and gamble on Hangman down in Page's return.
Is he gonna? I'm gonna put $10,000. He comes in rhinestones. Ooh.
Yeah, you can go.
He comes in on a fucking horse.
About it. But just I just use that example. If you just do that, if you use Hangman over Ospreay at that moment, a bigger moment, you're like, okay, you're saving the elite. That works. That works better on television. And then if you want to, you can still bring Hangman Page to come do his in-action match or a collision against Beef. That's what he's going to probably go against. He's going to probably go against. Yeah, he's going to go against Beef or JD Drake or another workhorseman. That's what's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to be in action. It's going to be a squash match, and for 90 seconds, he's going to beat him up a couple bit, a dead eye, and then a buckshot lariat for the win in 90 seconds. That's what's going to happen.
And he could ride the workhorseman out of the ring.
There you go. There's something there. Yeah, but anyway, we're gonna get a 90-second match and a promo probably about MJF to set up a redemption match where MJF is gonna lose again at redemption to Hangman Page, so he can go here and compete against Ospreay or Omega, whoever comes out of All In for a title shot. You can quote me on that. That's what's gonna happen. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say this, Haas. Even if I love the way you were talking and you explained it. Then if, let's say he takes the diamond ring, Hangman Page comes down. He takes the diamond ring. He either belts MJF or so forth, and then the referee sees. And I know AEW, they want to pound their chest. We don't have disqualifications here. But when you make it work or you put it in the rule, it kind of, there's exceptions to the rules. Hangman Page causes a disqualification. Kenny Omega doesn't win, but he's you could storytelling say, well, it was a cheap win by Hangman where his redemption is going back at the world title with no disqualification. Everyone barred from ringside, kind of continental toxic rules, and he wins the title there. Then at least, I know we're not going to like it, but if they try to make logical sense there and you have Hangman return, but the way they did it, where, I don't know, it just, I got lost for words. That's what I got to say.
I'm just tired. I'm tired of this fence riding. That's all AEW does. They fence ride. They don't commit to things that they need to commit to. They won't commit to MJF having a long-term title reign. They won't commit to Will Ospreay being a good guy or a bad guy. They just want to play these AEW mind trick games and be like, oh, that's a great story. No, you're giving me a headache for trying to decipher this BS that you put on TV every week. But I will say this, they did come up with 2 good weeks of television the last 2 weeks. So I will give them that. A hand clap to that. 2 straight weeks of good episodic television. So kudos to them on that.
Yes.
No, absolutely. I want to give this to Chris here, where to me it feels like, boy, All Elite Wrestling is putting MJF in the back corner because it's telling you there's nothing for him to do anymore. It kind of feels like Tony Khan is helping ushering Max out of this company because he loses again on television. It doesn't hurt him. He's still one of the best wrestlers in the world. But what is there left for him to do? It's turning out to be, we talked about the Steve Macklin in TNA, even Santana, what else is there for him? Yada, yada. Even, we'll talk about Sami Zayn, where that goes. But for Max, where does he go now?
That's a good question, because this is the exact type of question I wanted to avoid, because I don't know. I mean, that's why I didn't want him to lose the title at all this year. I didn't want him to lose to Darby. I didn't want him to lose at all. If he would have lost to Ospreay at Wembley, you have a conversation. What's he going to do next? He'll take a fucking break, come back and chase the world title again, or whatever. We go from there. Now it's, I don't know. He's dropped the title to one person that, in my opinion, shouldn't have won the title when he did in Darby Allin. And then he drops it to Kenny Omega. Okay, wrong time. I don't know what I want to see MJF do after this, going into Wembley. Look, there's going to be a lot of sickos, even the one in our chat right now, that is going to want to see Mick Foley and MJF. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't want to see it. And if you want to see Mick Foley versus MJF, you are a sicko that only cares about yourself. You are selfish if you want to see Mick Foley get in the ring again in 2026 for your own entertainment. Go. What are they going to do? Run it in a serious note? Because let's be honest, like, nobody wants to see Mick Foley wrestle in 2026, and the dude's just going to go out there and hurt himself, all for your nostalgia. I'm good.
Let me ask this to us with MJF and Chris too, either one. Do you trust Tony Khan, AEW Creative, and the company to tell a story for MJF to get back in that title picture and say, okay, I can understand him heating up and getting back in there?
Yes, I do trust it, because this is what I think about MJF. I think that Tony Khan's going to give MJF whatever he asks for, and he's going to make MJF the first double-digit champion in this company. I think MJF is going to be the first person to have 10 title reigns. He's just going to lose them here and there, probably twice a year, like this, what happened this year. But he's a 3-time champion. He's going to be the biggest champion of this company as long as it happens, because I think he's the new Ric Flair. I believe Tony Khan sees him that same way too. I could easily see that MJF could have probably 15 title reigns in this company. I could easily see it within the next 5 to 6 years, because this company loves to hot potato the title every 3 to 4 months. It looks like that's every quarter we're going to have a new champion. It seems like in this company. So you could quote me on this. As long as MJF is in this company for the next 5 years, he will be at least a 10 to 15 time world champion AEW. You can quote me on that.
All right. So when in the world, because I'm going to go back to a conversation we had weeks ago on this channel, not this channel, the old channel. So when in the world is Kyle Fletcher ever going to be world champion? Because we're talking about all these hot potatoes and all these title changes.
Oh, well, I can see that going into 2027. I can see it.
If Ospreay's the world champion, maybe. Because they're gonna want to relive that old United Empire Kyle Fletcher bestie feud. They're gonna relive it, but again, it's gonna be I'm gonna say the same thing with that, like I'm gonna say with Ospreay and Kenny right now. They ain't topping that shit. They're not topping that steel cage spot. Why do I want to see it again? Maybe that's just me, but I'm tired of recycled shit just because this person had a feud years ago. And 3 years later, we're going to recycle that and play it off like it's relevant now. I'm tired of that in wrestling. And I think that's where this is coming from. And I think that would be another situation. Tony's problem is that he did these matches too fucking quick. Like Ricochet comes in and he does Ospreay and Ricochet right away. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to see them have a proper feud and build it up because you gave me the fucking finish before it even got started.
And that would have been
Tony's
a good
problem.
That would have been a good first title defense for Will Ospreay, by the way.
Bingo.
In the program for All Out.
And then you could have built it up to Kyle Fletcher, but again, it's recycled shit. Just this time, Ospreay's the champion. I'm not saying it's going to be bad. It's just if you're asking me my level of interest, it's going to be very low.
Yeah, go ahead, Kev. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, when is it enough? Because we're hearing the complaint of Moxley holding that title for so long, and now we're seeing even shorter runs. I feel like they don't find a balance, a happy medium of when is enough time. And I don't think every wrestler needs to have a year title run if they are. The metric says he is hitting all strides and he's the best. And why change? Why break? Why fix something that's not broken? And I'm not saying if a particular wrestler X is bringing the company and elevating to another heights, and everyone and the boys and the girls are getting fed, don't make that change to make a change. Now, if the champion isn't really hitting and things are declining, the interest level of everyone and in the company, you make that change because you need a new face of the company to help elevate the talents around you. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. That's why, again, they had a chance to make this world title scene in the last year make sense. It all starts with Hangman beating Moxley out of Texas last year. Mistake. And it all starts with Darby Allin opting out and going to Mount Everest. Mistake. If you would have had Darby Allin win the title in Texas, have that feud marinate. Fuck Hangman first. No, I'm sick of Hangman. I know there's Hangman fans out there. I don't want Hangman involved in any of this. Darby should have been the one to beat Moxley, considering, I don't know, it was Moxley and his group the reason why fucking Darby was out for a long time to begin with. It's kayfabe. You had Darby then have the match at Revolution with MJF. And then whoever you wanted to have do it. They did this, in my opinion, so backwards, starting from Texas last year. I would have booked, again, I'm not upset because of how I would have. I didn't book it the way I said it. All right. I want to make that very clear. It annoys me. It confuses me because even the way they did do it, it doesn't make sense in my opinion. So I would have done this completely backwards. This whole thing leading up till when Hoss was in the building watching Hangman beat Moxley. I wouldn't have done that. So again, Tony Khan, I think the booking for the last year is in a pickle, and we're seeing it happen.
Okay. Well, but look, it happened. Now we're at this point, at this crossroads, currently right now, here on the 11th of July and so forth. We're going to see what happens in that main event picture when it comes to Max, if he gets inserted, not inserted, Omega, Ospreay, where it goes, what build we have for redemption. We still got another couple weeks. Maybe we get something with this Wednesday or the following where we'll get some kind of redemption angle, Haas, where there. Don't hold your breath too much there, so forth when it comes to the main event scene. I do want to talk about something else, and I want to go to Haas on this. When it comes to the Don Callis family, they again become strong where Fletcher wins the title again on Takeshita. I know Takeshita is set to go on the G1s. Do you think that title was removed because of the time he's going to spend in Japan, and they want to? All of a sudden now, Tony is concerned about seeing that title on television. The right call there to put that title back on Fletcher?
Yes, it's right call because if they're going to do this right, we could do the storytelling here. We could actually break up Okada and Fletcher. We could go that route, and that could be very fun to see. But the whole problem with that is we already have one guy who can't cut a promo by himself because he can't speak English that well. Okada will be the same way. We can't turn Okada babyface because he can't speak for himself. So we could probably get rid of that feud. It may not happen, but it would sound good if we could. Yeah, but right call to put on Kyle Fletcher. And if you're gonna go ahead, they should have catapulted Kyle Fletcher last year. At when he had that nice TNT title reign, they should have gone. And he went against Hangman and was it All Out last year? They should have catapulted him last year. He should be in the main event scene, but yet he's saddled with another mid card title. I don't know what he's gonna do with that title. Is he gonna hold it till Takeshita comes back for a rematch at Wembley? Possibly. I think that's what's gonna happen. He's gonna hold the international title so we can get a rematch at All In. But I don't know. But I agree with the booking. I think he should have won.
Where do you see Takeshita here, Chris?
I don't agree with the booking. I actually would have. And for this reason alone, in the last few weeks of Dynamite, for me, it looked like we were getting some way, somehow, a Kevin Knight and Kyle Fletcher TNT title match, a rematch or something. That's what it looked teased like a few weeks ago on Dynamite. Now, if this is okay, Takeshita's coming back or leaving, whatever, sure. Yes, this is business-wise, this could be the right decision. Storyline-wise, I don't know. I'm going to say no because I figured Kyle Fletcher, and it makes more sense, in my opinion, for him to get back that TNT title. But I guess the only hiccup is, they're still part of the Don Callis family. I guess Takeshita still has the beef there, so you could play that, I guess. But I would have had Kyle Fletcher go in another direction because, again, not the TNT title is any better, quote unquote, than the international title. But like Hoss said, what's he gonna do with that title? Wait for Takeshita to come back for All In? That doesn't. I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna be a better match than him and Kevin. But again, I guess you don't want to split him up from the family. And they're not gonna have it in Don Callis family battle like they did again with Okada and Takeshita.
Let me ask this question for both of you guys: is Kyle Fletcher finally reaching true main event status in your eyes with another title run opportunity here with the TNT title?
He looked good on Wednesday. Okay. I've said this for a while. He's been presented well the last year. I think he's the true person that I want to see with Don Callis. He's the only person I think right now that will benefit being with Don Callis. And it kind of does show on TV. I don't think Kevin Knight is going to be the best right-hand man for Don Callis in a sense. Kyle Fletcher looks the part. He has great size. Again, he's really good in the ring. And he's a decent heel. So I don't know, man. I just, with Kyle Fletcher, they got to book him some way, somehow that strong. So if Ospreay is champion after All In, if they're going to recycle it. So at least he'll be strong enough to do that. But Kyle Fletcher's the real Don Callis guy here. I think it should just be Don Callis and Kyle Fletcher. Get rid of the whole fucking family.
Us, your take on you think he's a main event status in your eyes?
He's been a main event status for me since last year. I really believe this. I believe since he's attached to hurting Adam Cole, I think Tony Khan has been punishing him, and his punishment's probably almost over. Probably a year punishment for hurting Adam Cole, because Adam Cole was one of Tony Khan's favorites. Tony Khan is a mark. He's loved Adam Cole probably since NXT Black and Gold. He's just like, you can't be hurting one of my guys.
Before that, he's loved him before that.
Well, there you go. There you go. So that you heard it here first. I believe Tony Khan has been punishing Kyle Fletcher, keeping him in the mid card because he hurt Adam Cole. So he's done his year penance, and he's going to move him up after that.
And I would say this
doesn't surprise me.
I don't consume the product, but I did watch this one match, and I'm gonna take a hot take. To me, I thought this was the match of the night, was Fletcher and Takeshita.
I see that Wednesday.
I agree, because I think a lot of the main event was outside spots and a lot of 2 commercial breaks that were in my opinion, weren't in a good placement. The match with main event was fine, but I agree with you guys. I know Hoss said it on Wednesday too, that this was his match of the night. Yeah, this was a really good match. I would also give this the match of the night on Wednesday. This could. I would give this a second match of the week.
Okay. Yeah, I have no problem with that when you guys want to say that with that there. I do have to ask this question. You guys watching this Don Callis related. How excited are you for Andrade going after Mark Davis national title?
I don't give a fuck.
No interest. None whatsoever. That means you're, I hate to use this term because we use it too much in the wrestling community. You're burying Andrade. You're going to tell me he went from the world championship picture just a few months ago. He just broke off with his family over this. And you're going to say, oh, and Don Callis. Yeah, how you know? Don Callis is still calling the shots. Oh, yeah, you can get a national championship title shot after you beat Jake Doyle. So Don Callis is still controlling the narrative of Andrade. I have no interest. None.
I have no interest either. And I would have had interest if MJF was still the world champion because we would have had him in MJF at Arena Mexico. And I think that's after Wembley. So they could probably still do the match, but the building won't be there. But again, they put themselves in a pickle by all these fucking people. I'm challenging for the AEW world title. I'm challenging for the AEW world title. It's like you're doing two storylines. So I don't know. Andrade, I maybe him and MJF just had the match at all.
They you know what the problem is, and I appreciate from 20,000 feet of looking away when Darby Allin was being this champion and he was out there being Oprah Winfrey. You get a title shot. But then now, since they didn't beat Darby, you can't. How do they want an opportunity to wrestle for that world title again? Where it makes sense, or you feel like it's fresh or well earned at the moment. You can't. That's what happens when you give the sickos ice cream for dinner. You can't give them the vegetables, and that's the problem that we have here, guys. Let me ask this question here, Haas, where I was confused. Willow Nightingale returns and immediately enters the title picture.
Mm-hmm.
Why then drop all the title and go through that hoopla and all that song and dance?
Well, Tekla actually said the quiet part out loud on Wednesday. She said she doesn't think Willow was ever hurt.
Oh, by the way, sorry to interrupt. That segment for Tekla was sponsored by Don Julio's Tequila.
Yes. Shout out to Tekla.
Don Gato. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Shout out to inebriated Tekla. I love it. She comes out there. She tells the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I want her on commentary every week, even though she's a train wreck when she talks, but she tells the truth when she talks. So I will take a train wreck, truth-telling woman every time, every day of the week. I'll take it. But
you forgot to say for help me, Johnny Walker.
Remember, she told Tony Schiavone, would you like some of my drink? It put some hair on your chest.
Ooh.
Yes, the Austrian queen told Tony Schiavone about hair on the chest. Hilarious. But yes, Willow is back in the title picture. It is because her and Mercedes have this ongoing story because Tony Khan is lazy. He is scared to actually sit up here and write a story for Tekla and Mercedes Moné. Tekla's actually interesting. Mercedes is not that interesting outside the ring. I said it, like she's a great wrestler, but outside the ring, she can be quite boring. But yes, I would rather Tekla and Mercedes, but Willow and Mercedes is easy homework for Tony Khan. So he gets the belt Willow for being a good soldier. Here, you get to have your world title for a month. We're gonna feed you to Mercedes at All In. We can sell that. So Willow and Mercedes at All In. It really diminishes Tekla because she's done a good job with the title. But that's why Willow's back in this picture.
I think it's dumb. And I agree with Hoss. I have nothing else to add. It's just dumb. Yeah. And again,
there is history there between Willow and Mercedes being injured for the New Japan Strong Women's title, where she had to vacate it and they lost, when they wrestled in front of 150 people for New Japan Pro Wrestling in San Diego. I don't know if they could tell, they could tell that story is compelling because she was chasing her, but it felt kind of rushed. No foreplay.
None. I'm telling you, the more interesting match is Tekla and Mercedes.
I agree.
But here go people say, oh, we don't want heels versus heels. First of all, this is AEW. AEW logic dictates they don't care nothing about those monikers. They just want banger matches. And we see Willow and Mercedes go at it, 3 times already? Maybe 4. Do you want to see Willow lose again? She's probably beaten Mercedes, once? And that was at New Year's?
Does Mercedes, she don't want Tekla to go out and say some shit on the mic that's like, she will, because Tekla will.
Yeah.
I think Mercedes knows Tekla. She don't care, like you said. And especially she's not wrestling and she does have, allegedly something, a drink or two. Yes, she will say some shit that Mercedes probably will want to, shoot like on a shoot style promo. Like it could be this could be a Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair situation.
Yes, and Tekla gonna call her dumb bitches every week, and Mercedes ain't gonna have that. She might do it for 1 week, and that's it. That's Tekla gonna keep doing it. And I want that. I want it to
no, dude. That right now is the biggest women's match they could do going into All In is Tekla and Mercedes, and they're not gonna do it. They're gonna have Willow drop that title at fucking Redemption, predictable ass shit, and have the match at Wembley. I'm not that into it. This is a TBS title match. In my opinion.
Okay, I hear you there. To see where that goes, I wanted to ask this about when it comes to All In. This is my opinion. I've been thinking about it. I've been contemplating listening to that. The ticket sales aren't moving that well. They're not like the first year, because it's the first time anomaly, overstates. People from the United States are going to want to go partake in a big, huge, massive event in for the company in Europe. I think the World Cup hurt it, All In AEW when it comes to All In. And here's my reason. A lot of those European fans that have a lot of money, they're spending a lot of money, a lot of euro coming to the United States to these World Cup games. Whether it's all, the representation, the flyover, the tickets themselves are uber expensive for the World Cup games. And I don't know how, I believe the European economy isn't that strong to begin with. And to go, and then you're flying, you're traveling, and then to go back 6 weeks it can be about 6 to 4 weeks later to fly back to back home and spend money on going to All In. They're picking and choosing, and that's what tickets are moved. I don't think they're going to be like, man, I don't know, I'm going to be able to. Although they are reasonably priced in Europe for the fans there, but you're not going to get the same amount of people from Germany to want to go to England, vice versa. I know it's a hop step on the tube and all that good stuff, but I still think the World Cup hurt that event across the pond where maybe Tony Khan this year should have went in Arlington and kept it in the United States and hindsight 2020. I just thought about that, why they're not moving sales, because you got them and he's switching the main event, and we talked about it a few minutes ago for the past hour. Your thoughts? You think the World Cup really hurt the ticket sales at least for All In London, Hoss?
I could believe that because England they're very prideful of their football. And then England has a chance of winning the World Cup. This is not no fly-by-night type of thing. Like, they have a solid chance of winning. I think they play tonight. If not,
they do play tonight. Yeah,
they play tonight. Yes. So, yeah, you have a point there. But to go further on this, if Tony Khan really doesn't care about the business side of this, I would go to 75% off on tickets. I would go up here and say, hey, open up my allotment. Get me back to 75 to 80,000. Let's see if we can open this place up. We can knock these tickets to 75 to 80% off. Give me as many people as possible in this stadium. And I'm going to send a message to those people over there that we compete against every week. They can't sell their tickets. We can sell ours. Go to 75%. Get anybody in this stadium right now. That's what I would do.
I don't think that's going to work. Even if he does it, I don't think people are willing to spend the money because they already in their mindset made their budget to go. They chose the World Cup. I don't know if they'll do even at that juncture of 75%. That's why the United States would have been a better, or even Mexico. You talk up. This is the year where he should have took in All In to Mexico. To Azteca Stadium, I think they would with CMLL. I think it would have been close to 50,000. Chris, your thoughts on this whole situation with the tickets?
Yeah, that could definitely be a thing. I don't think one match is going to sell tickets. right now. They might get there is reports that they did get maybe close to 1,000 extra more since, but
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's going to. I think you have a legit argument there because again, if a lot of these people fly in from wherever they're going to the World Cup and they're in Miami, so
Oof, that's expensive as hell.
That's where England's playing the night against Norway in Miami. So it's they're gonna be spending there. Think about it, dude. If you're like like I'll take us for example. Right? Let's say like we go to like WrestleMania in the UK. Let's say I'm going to All In. Me and Hoss Dynamite Bros. We're going to UK Wembley. You don't think we're gonna go to what's this place? What's this place and try all the shit that they claim down there is good? That's what they're doing right here. They're going down to all these pubs and bars and I tried this today and they're gonna probably get back and look at their bank statements and be like, God damn. So you have a legit argument there. I just if you're a wrestling fan, I think you'll be there, but if not, it's gonna be an interesting view to see how these tickets move.
I was gonna say, Haas, the reason why I said the United States would have been good, because let's face it, a lot of us Americans are not really into football, soccer, as the European or even anyone across the pond. They adore that. So that's number one love. And they will spend and go full blown, and where in the United States or the North American consumer, football, soccer ain't the number one in their life. They will probably go more wrestling, more than football or the World Cup. That's why I bring that argument up.
Kev, if they did an experiment last year, and me and Aaron were there last year at All In, they actually lied about the attendance. It was more like 22,000 people in there. It was still a great, great showing up by people, but they still lied about the attendance. So if you have to lie about the attendance, and we know wrestling promoters are notorious for this, we know that.
Absolutely.
But if you can't fill up a stadium here in America, in Texas, I think Tony Khan is scared to try that again. For his biggest show. That's why he's got Redemption in Canada, Dynasty in Canada, All in London again. And like we just had Forbidden Door in California. I want to say he may have had 9,000 people in the arena, about 9,000. I think he's scared to have another big stadium show here in America because we got All Out in Chicago this year. I don't know the venue off the top of my head right now, but I don't think they're in the same venue that the WWE just did on Monday night. I don't think they're going to be in that same venue. I think Tony Khan is actually scared to run these his big shows here in America. I think he is. Because the AEW faithful, they're strong on the internet. They don't show up in real life. They don't. That's why they go to these small closets. I know that's a very disrespectful statement, but they go to these places where 2,000 or 3,000 people is the max. And the AEW people, they talk very tough on the internet. And a lot of these people are from London. They love to talk to you tough from the UK. If you go look where they originate from, but they can't get more than 50,000 people in Wembley when they had almost 80 the first time. And they get up here and say, oh man, they run the same venue 3 times. Well, you're not going again? That's a bigger indictment on AEW. They can't get you to come again. And now they got 50% discounts. So you still won't go?
Yeah. They're in the Now Arena. They're in the Now Arena in Hoffman Estates in Illinois.
Okay. See,
not the Allstate Arena where Monday Night Raw was this week.
Yeah, the Allstate on the.
For All Out.
Yeah.
Oh, they killed that market. They killed that Chicago market the minute Tony fired Punk at All Out 3 years ago.
See, that's a bigger indictment on AEW that you cannot go to your hotbeds. Chicago is a hotbed for wrestling, and you can't get a big turnout there. You go to London, this is a hotbed for AEW. This is Tony Khan's backyard, just like Jacksonville. You can't sell out Wembley, and they'd be like, "Man, Wembley's a big venue." You'd have had the same problem the first time. So you're telling me that you're losing fans every year, which people won't admit. They won't admit that at AEW. The sickos won't admit this, but we all know this. That's the bigger indictment.
I'll give them credit for their rating this weekend. I mean, it's not high 700,000 is a better show, but still, the numbers are the sickos, the diehard sickos, because I am an AEW fan, so I am a sicko, but the diehard sickos, they will admit that and statistics don't lie.
Okay. We'll see where we
So
go. Where we go there. The number, they're not gonna be in a beach. So let's see where the numbers go. And at this point, for the ratings, fine. Now the pay per view and the attendance records for the redemption, as well as All In, we're gonna keep an eye on that. What we are gonna do is take a break. We're gonna shift gears. And when we come back here, we're gonna listen from our sponsor, Dude Wipes, and we're gonna shift gears into another topic. Of course, you're on the Sports Jedi Media Network YouTube channel. Please hit that like, subscribe. We want to continue to grow. We got a nice audience here tonight or this afternoon. Please hit that like. Don't leave without hitting that like and subscribe. As we continue to grow this platform and we get our old channel back, we'll still do things here as well. Some of our old interviews here from TNA throughout the course of the year is here, and some other stuff, Garden of Thoughts and all that good stuff. But we're here from our sponsor, and we'll switch gears.
Summer is upon us real soon. When the temps start to climb, cool down your undercarriage with a poopsicle. Dude Wipes team created the world's first ice pop scented butt wipes. Every dude deserves a little treat after dropping a dookie. Poopsicle Wipes. Get your butt over to the TP aisle or snag a pack online. Here, your promo code. Text DUDESAVE20 to 59463. Get 20% off. Dude Wipe, sponsor of the Sports Jedi Network channel. Feel the force. Stay Dude Wipe clean.
This is the one and only Paige, and you're watching Sports Jedi Network. Feel the force.
What's up? We always got our Dude Wipes. Thank you to our sponsor, Dude Wipes. Staying fresh, stay clean. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys on there. Guys, I want to talk about something where it happened on Tuesday. The first two episodes dropped, called Dark Side of the Ring Season 7. Episode 1 and 2 was titled Jeff Jarrett and the Battle of TNA. To me, it felt like a slapnut side of the story. I want to talk about Jeff Jarrett. The first part was the inception, the premiere, the lineage of his departure from WWE, the WCW closure, all that stuff, the WWE holding that monopoly, him having that great thought with his father, going pretty much all in, risking a lot of financial risk and launching TNA back in 2002. And I'm looking at, my goodness, time is flying. And the way they started off, total nonstop action, his vision and his thought process for Jeff Jarrett. Remember, this is his side of the story, of his version of his truth of what TNA Wrestling in his storyline there. Chris, I wanted to go with you because you've been a big fan of its inception. I got something out of it from it where here's some of the highlights. Why TNA was creative. Well, of course, it was the real true alternative of the WWE after WCW closes, ECW is gone. Ring of Honor hasn't started up yet, and vice versa, and the unique pay-per-view business style model, and the innovation of the X Division, the six-sided ring, they were totally different, Chris.
Oh boy, yeah, this was I talked a little bit about it the other day, where this was a good watch. Again, I've watched every single episode of Dark Side of the Ring. I was there when they premiered, when they made the premiere announcements, all that stuff. Going back to the Bruiser Brody. So this was the second one that I was really, really excited to watch. The first one being Benoit. I think this was as good as the Chris Benoit one. Obviously, tragedy isn't the same, but the way they told, I'm talking about the way they told the stories. If that makes sense. I'm not comparing the two. I'm talking about the way the producers told the stories of the incident. I liked this just as much as I liked that one. Talk a little bit about Jeff Jarrett's personal life real quick before we really go to the TNA part of it, because that's something, the TNA part of it is something that myself, a lot of the fans talked about over the years and speculated, but we never really heard too much of Jeff's personal life. Not that it's any of our business that we care, but we were aware of the tragedies, his wife being the topic, and his alcoholism and his issues. He's never really talked about those things, and I think I respect him a lot for talking about it, because I don't know if it was Chris Van Fleet or Busted Open, where he was like, you guys are both older than me, where the guys from your guys' generation aren't the biggest fans of, the unreals and the what happened, this and that. So I think but Jeff Jarrett was like, at least I'm here to tell my side. So I respect him a lot for that, because I can tell this was something he was very uncomfortable doing. But it did a good job about, again, the emotional part about his wife, about how he struggled and watched her basically die right in front of him, losing the cancer. Talked about, him and Karen, him and his father, which they're going to get more into that in part 3, because he passed not too recently, actually. So a little bit about Jeff's personal life. Kev and Haas, they did a great job of telling us, and Jeff did a great job of, telling us his story for the whole world to see. And it was very emotional, I know for him, for the boys, when Vince Russo and Scott Steiner were talking about his experiences with the wife, very, very emotional watch. And I think everybody did a great job of talking about Jeff Jarrett's personal story.
What I like about what's being told in the first 30 minutes of the documentary was we got to find out Jeff Jarrett, where his father is a wrestler. We find out that he comes from a divorce, split home, where he's spending time trying to chase his father's love and admiration in the early part, getting into the wrestling business, becoming a second generation wrestler without his dad there, and going at times with him, working, and his grandmother. God bless the grandparents. I say this time again, if it wasn't for my grandfather, I wouldn't be talking about wrestling. God bless our grandparents. So we love our grandparents.
Never would have saw wrestling live if it wasn't for my grandpa. So
yeah, so grandparents fit. It's something that's losing essence. If you're a grandfather, to be connect with your grandchildren, or grandmother, because look at me now. Going to be almost 50 years later, and I can't stop talking about my grandfather influence on me in professional wrestling. And look at Chris and so forth. His grandmother, one of the greatest promoters in that region of the country, in Tennessee, and getting him in the wrestling business. We find out he's from a broken marriage, growing up in the wrestling business. Then I did not know about his wife really passing away with the cancer battles. The second time he had 3 daughters. So I'm watching Jeff Jarrett, and I felt the sympathetic, emotional connection, and felt bad for his story, because not only he's later on becomes a widow with 3 young daughters, his best friend dies in something that they both love in the work in the art of professional wrestling with Owen Hart. And he put on that happy face, and you see the tragedies that he's quietly, slowly keeping inside of him, bowed up, because us as men, we tend to hold a lot of things in, that we don't go running the therapy, unless you're Tony Soprano, and sit down on the couch and have that conversation. Because one, financially, or we just think we're macho, we'll handle it, and whatever the case is. And he's holding it throughout the course of all these years. Then he starts a wrestling company, and it's starting to get successful, but of course, financial money makes people go bananas. Trust me, we're all going through it right now. And then to see him going through all the struggle, his wife passes away, his best friend died years later. He's been fired from his wrestling career, embarrassed on television when McMahon says you're JONNE, gone. So all that stuff, I'm not excusing him, not one bit, but I could understand when people tend to fall to the bottle. Whether it's the bottle, the pipe, the whatever abuse of self-medicating or escape with and I could understand that, Haas, from Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, it's very human, very human. So, and that's gonna actually put more eyes on it. And I'm not saying that they did that for a ratings thing, but the fact is, people can empathize with that. They can really see themselves in those struggles, because it's bigger than wrestling. So, yeah, the fact that, and I'm with Chris on it, the fact that he was able to be so candid about it, it just shows you how big this was in his life.
Yeah, and seeing that, and then going through that, and being by himself and widow. And then one thing I did not, Chris, I don't know about you, I felt a little bit that they left out. I don't know why. The real big number 1 signing of the first wrestler to really leave the WWE into TNA was Christian Cage. They didn't mention that. I know they went to Kurt Angle, and maybe because of the time lapse, but I wish they would have mentioned that.
I agree 100% because when Christian Cage came to TNA, he was the first big WWE guy to. Not a lot of people know this, and they didn't say it. They didn't really. They mentioned it very briefly. I think Scott D'Amore, because they're both Canadian. I think he mentioned it very briefly in one of his parts. But Christian Cage had the choice to go anywhere he went. He chose to go to TNA. That was a big part of TNA's early days. But Kev, in my opinion, the reason why they didn't do that, is because I think more people remember the Kurt Angle stuff, and they wanted to, when you're doing a TV show or a production documentary, they used that to set up the Karen Jarrett stuff. That's why they left the Christian Cage out. They will focus more on Kurt so they could build that up for the Karen Jarrett and all that stuff, and that's when they get into that later on.
No, I agree with you on that there. I could understand and agree with you there. I would have just said, Christian Cage was the first WWE wrestler to sign with the promotion, but later he opened the door to allow a greater impactful wrestler to join.
Yes.
And they could have let in with
I agree.
With Kurt Angle. And watching Kurt Angle and the way they explain him coming in, where Kurt Angle wasn't in a great place himself, where, he was just a walking fueled by Percocets, by whatever situation he was using to keep with all the pain and agility, and he wasn't himself. And it felt like Karen Jarrett was his handler at that time rather than his wife, his spouse. They were talking about that they were not together. I don't know if they're saying that now to make the pill to swallow, the pill literally, no pun intended, for you could take the pill and swallow it more easier. Or at that time, we wouldn't know, we weren't there. We weren't there back in that timeline, but boy, the people saw Kurt Angle. I felt bad for Kurt too, because we know that he has not shied of talking about his demons. And TNA, one thing I got out of this, Haas and Chris, when TNA used to do their weekly pay-per-views, I think that sparked the vision and the mindset for Vince McMahon to launch the WWE Network. $9.99. Think about it. They used to charge $9.99 for the pay-per-view, Chris. And they would give you content. I think that was where Vince McMahon took it and said, we're going to put everything on there, pal. I think that's where Vince McMahon, I think TNA, if no one wants to talk about give credit, I think they inspired the WWE Network, in my opinion.
Yeah, they definitely could have. I think with streaming was a big thing that back then. I think he just wanted to take advantage of the streaming stuff too, but that could be a possibility. But I want to go back to Kurt Angle, because you're talking about Kurt Angle. All that. This is important. I mean this with all due respect to Kurt Angle, Pittsburgh legend, right? I love the guy. I understand. Like, I think us as adults can understand, as basic human beings can understand why he chose not to be a part of it. Let's be honest. We all know he was contact. And in my opinion, and I believe, I'm not going to say we know, I take that back. I believe he was contact and he turned it down. This is where it honestly hurts. And this is where I understand he doesn't want to talk about his problems, maybe out of respect for his new wife, his wife currently now, his kids now that are older and they could see it. Trust me, I get all of that stuff. But this is the reality, guys. When one person or two people say their side of the story, that's what we run with. And that's what we talk about. And that's why I think they left a lot of key information off some of this stuff, because certain key people like Dixie and Kurt Angle weren't a part of it. That hurts some of these. Does that make sense? Like, I understand why somebody like Kurt, like for the reason I just mentioned, wouldn't want to be a part of something like this. But at the same time, what if what he says and Karen says or something different? There's that one detail that Karen maybe left out, that Kurt's sitting at home like, well, you had your chance to say your truth in a setting that wasn't a podcast. It was a produced television show that he has been a part of before. Does that make sense? I'm not at all shitting on Kurt Angle for not participating. I want to make that very, very clear. I'm just saying in a situation like this is where him and Dixie not being involved, that's why maybe, in my opinion, some things might have been left out or some things doesn't fully make sense. I don't know. I get that. I've watched all these episodes of Dark Side of the Ring.
Okay.
I can say that a lot about a lot of these episodes. Like there was that one person that should have been here, and it's probably left out some key information. So it's not just this. It's not just this.
Let me to their credit. I know they did say Dixie Carter declined. Did they say Kurt Angle declined?
Jeff Jarrett. So Dixie Carter said she didn't say yes, but she didn't say no. She just never responded.
Okay, so they reached out to her.
She reached out. She had the conversation with Jeff Jarrett. She basically didn't say yes, but didn't say no. And she never contacted any of the producers. But that's why I took back. Okay. That's why I said we know they contacted Dixie. That's why I changed my words.
Did they contact Kirk?
And I looked that up.
Okay.
There's no information out there. That's why. But I'm just telling you what I believe. As you know, I'm not conspiracy theory here, but I just believe that there's no way he wasn't contacted. They made a whole this half of the second part was about Kurt Angle signing and how Jeff Jarrett went to his father and said, "You want somebody that screams total non-satisfaction? Get Kurt Angle." Let's be honest. That's why I believe that he was reached out. I don't want to say he was because we don't know that, but it's hard for me to not believe that nobody contacted him when he's been on the show before.
Okay. So you think they contacted him?
They had to. He's too big of a star not to do your due diligence on it. I mean, if he says no, he says no. But if he says yes, we got more content. So you have to ask.
Yeah, you can't force the guy to do nothing. Like I'm sure they offered him some money. You can't force another grown man to do nothing he wants to do. And that's why I'm not coming at Kurt Angle for not participating. I just gave you a bunch of reasons why he doesn't want to do it. And I understand that. I'm just saying as a viewer, that's my perception.
Okay, I understand. Maybe some health issues because he's been, but I take that back because he does commentary for wrestling, for American Wrestling Freestyle, or for wrestling the Ref. So he does the main event commentary. So I don't know.
He ain't hard to find.
Exactly.
If you can get any one of those guys you saw on that documentary has Kurt Angle's phone number.
Yeah, I don't think he's hard to find.
Producers Evan and Jason have his phone number.
Yes. Because he's been on there before. He's been a participant. They could find him. Maybe but it's interesting to see that we would love to hear, because remember, we're hearing Karen's side of the truth. We're hearing Jeff Jarrett's side of the truth. Now we want to hear Kurt Angle's side of the truth. And we're hearing, and also we would love to hear Dixie Carter's version of the truth. And in the middle is the God honest truth in that really, really happened. So it's everybody's perspective and their truth there, what they lived in. No one knows what, we can't say they're lying or they're fibbing or they're making these stuff, because they're telling us what they lived in their reality, in their moment of time was their truth, which we could appreciate that, because we see what's going on, the financial struggles of TNA. They have something that's hot, that's something different, innovative, captivating, and one of the investors gets into that trouble where they need to find Panda Energy, which at that time, that's the one person that was going to fund the company. They needed money. And Jeff Jarrett put everything on the table, his livelihood, and he kind of make a decision where they want to invest. And he was thinking not just for himself, he's thinking about that locker room, those men and women that believed in his vision. And I could kind of understand, because that's probably one of the reasons why I lost my channel. I thought I was chasing a sponsor that was going to give us some financial relief, and it just didn't blow up. Maybe, and I could understand why Jarrett went to the Panda Energy to Dixie Carter and bringing in Dixie Carter, but it didn't start off bad in the beginning, Chris.
It was okay in the beginning for the talent. The talent were making the money. I think for Jeff in the beginning again. So there's a different. And I'm happy you set me up for that, because some of the participants, in my opinion, I wasn't paying attention too much to. I wasn't paying too much attention to D'Lo Brown. Wasn't paying too much attention to what any of the Hardy Boys had to say. Not just because they're still contracted with TNA, but the reason why I and not just because it's focused with Jeff. What did those talents say? Well, she was paying me. She was fine to me. It's one of those things where, yeah, okay, she might be cool to you, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. That's why I pay attention close to what Jeff Jarrett was saying about Dixie. Jeff and Vince Russo. Vince Russo was a big part of this documentary. I know
What's going to get to him?
I know a lot of people. Well, he has a lot to do with this. Vince Russo has a big part of this documentary. So I think Jeff had, but before we get into Vince Russo, let's talk about what we were talking about. With Jeff Jarrett, he had all to lose. That's why I think in the beginning, like you mentioned, like it was good because he was the champion. They just kind of like whatever. It just, I think when Dixie, when she wanted to prove something to her dad, I think that's kind of when shit went sideways. And I forget what specific moment that Jeff Jarrett was like, I knew that this. Well, when they brought Bischoff,
Bischoff and Hogan.
When they brought Bischoff and Hogan, literally, yes. And Karen, I believe from what I got out of this, she always wanted to get Jeff Jarrett out of power, like power. I mean, okay, like. She always wanted to terminate your whatever power he had other than being an in-ring performer. And her being the last person to find out about Jeff's and Karen's relationship, that's what triggered her. In my opinion. So it was like, again, it was fine. It was okay in the very, very beginning. Very, very beginning. But it went left pretty quick.
When I'm looking at all this, right, when they bring in Dixie Carter in, and it's her family investment where her dad is going to trust their daughter, watch my investment because you're what better than your own sibling or your own child to watch your father's investment or his millions there, to watch the promotion grow. Where it's not going to be talked about, and I'm not trying to say he was a heel, but the Jarretts, the father and the son, they could have been a little bit male chauvinistic. You're bringing a woman in a male dominated world where, let's face it, these promoters were all, from Crockett to McMahon's to Watts to all across, they were all male dominated, rare, but then it contradicts itself a little bit, Chris. I'm contradicting myself because in the beginning of the documentary, we talked about the grandmother being the best promoter. So maybe they thought Dixie Carter would never live up to the grandmother's billing, and they dismissed her. Like, who the hell she knows? She doesn't know shit. She's not like grandma. Like grandma wouldn't do it that way. Maybe.
No, the difference between grandma and Dixie Carter is that grandma grew up in the wrestling business.
Yes.
Dixie Carter, she was the money man. She was the money woman. She was the investor. She fucked up because she should have let Russo, even though Russo's creative towards that end there was sucked. She should have let Russo, Scott D'Amore, Jarrett, and all these other people do what they had to do, and she should have just signed the checks. But she wanted more power. She like Karma said. I keep calling her fucking Karma. I don't even know why. I know her as Awesome Kong, and I keep saying fucking Karma. Awesome Kong said it the best. She wanted to be a woman in power.
Right.
That's all. That's what happened. She wanted the control. She wanted to show everybody that she knew what she was doing. She had nothing to do. And Jeff Jarrett said this word for word or something like that, where it was like she was swimming with the sharks and she bled before she even got in the water. She knew nothing. She knew nothing about entertainment. Well, let's take a look at 2026. For just 1 second, at least with Carlos Silva not knowing much about the wrestling business, he comes from the entertainment business and the fight game and the production world. And he doesn't get involved with creative. With Dixie, she comes from energy and solar. And she's trying to, again, this is the hard reality. So I'm sorry right now. Please do not cancel me. She is a woman. She's already not getting taken seriously. She's a good-looking woman. at that. And that is a negative to her because everyone's going to take advantage of her, and Bischoff and Hogan and Bischoff were the best examples of that.
When it comes to Dixie Carter, I think she ran a PR department before coming on to the WDA to the TNA side there. But I wanted to talk about Vince Russo. And Vince Russo was talked a lot about in this episode, where even Vince Russo caused a wedge between father and son, Jerry and Jeff Jarrett. We also saw his early, they talked a little bit about his WCW days. He wasn't really good as a creative. Yes, he had success in the Attitude Era, being the head writer, creator. But remember, he came up with ideas, and it was up to Vinnie Mac to push it over the edge, and we wanted to go that route. I think Vince Russo is very overrated with his takes, where he claims he's the reason why the Attitude Era. No, he's made suggestions, but Vince took some and tweaked it, and it was a perfect combination. But when you saw him on his own or being put in the main spotlight, he's been a disaster to the wrestling business, period. Let's face it.
Yeah, dude. I remember the Shark Boy storyline as a kid. That shit sucked. I remember that shit. That was fucking awful. Vince Russo, look, I just think he thought, like, we weren't in that Attitude Era anymore. When Vince Russo took over creative for TNA, it was like that shit was over. The WCW lost. That's what this felt like. It just felt like he was trying to relive the glory days of WCW with a lot of the former wrestlers. And he was trying to do it in a WWE style. Like, he was trying to mix both together, and he didn't do it well. Again, he was booking for the wrong times. He was doing sexy matches in 2000 and fucking almost 4 or whatever. It wasn't, we weren't in 1997 anymore. He was booking for the wrong times. And again, I wasn't alive during that time, so I'm going based off what I'm watching off this Dark Side of the Ring. It looked like he didn't book for the times of that time. And I was younger during that time, but I'm talking WCW shit. So
let me ask this question about Russo. Did Russo help TNA stand out then?
I mean, maybe in the beginning, no doubt. I mean, it's one of those things with him or with anything where, you need a few people to help something get going. I'm sure he was doing some good stuff to help it get going. But again, him interfering with father and son, I'm sure, and he said he didn't want to really put himself in that position. But then again, him and Cornette. I mean, Jim versus Russo, that deserves its own Dark Side of the Ring.
Boy, by the way, I got to shout out Cornette and his dentures. My goodness, he got a new set of chompers on that Dark Side of the Ring. I thought he looked like the Nutcracker.
This guy don't leave that fucking castle. But him arguing with Cornette, it was just, again, once Dixie gave him the full control, it sucked. I don't think Russo was good as head writer. He was just good as a writer to give input. And again, why? And you know what else, guys? Dixie's I used to call her Doofus Dixie back in the day. I might change that a little bit. You can either say dumbass Dixie, delusional Dixie. You could say anything you want. But Dixie, she thought it was smart enough to have Eric Bischoff and Russo work together again.
I was going to get to that right there.
That's what killed Russo's run in TNA.
Yeah, because now you have a lot of egos there. But I wanted to talk about this, though, with maybe this is what I perceive too, Chris and Haas, where you're seeing TNA with Russo, regardless if we like this philosophy or not, or all the stories, but you did see the women main event, highest rated segments. They were empowering the company where people tune in to watch them. Maybe Dixie said, if those women in the ring could do that, I probably could do that as a boss with the company. Fair?
Fair. Let me ask you a question, though, since we're talking about the knockouts. I'm going to ask you a question that you just asked me. In your belief, not what you've seen, or if you've seen something, say it, but in your belief, Do you think they reached out to Gail Kim?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay, that's interesting.
Because she would have went on. She would have went on because Scott D'Amore went on.
She would have went on because Scott D'Amore was on?
Yes.
Fair.
And also
Fair.
Khan. I think she would have went on if they would ask.
Fair. Because okay, that's okay. I agree because I thought I'm surprised they didn't, but I feel like if they had Awesome Kong, they didn't really need to reach out to her. But I don't know. I think Awesome Kong was like, if we can get Awesome Kong, we don't. If I'm thinking of the mind of the producers, if we can get Awesome Kong, fine. If we can't, then we'll reach out to Gail. She was like the backup.
You know why? Because Gail Kim revitalized her career from WWE and TNA. And when I think of TNA Knockouts division, those are the two women that come to my mind immediately, besides the beautiful people. Those are the two. When I think of TNA Knockouts division, those to me are the first two that come in my mind immediately. Gail Kim and Awesome Kong.
Oh, okay. There we go. Somebody asked her, were you asked to participate in this? I figured you were and had to decline because of the legal stuff.
I was going to.
And she said, I wasn't asked, but that's okay if creative or legal discussions resulted in an incomplete.
And I didn't read that. By the way, I did not read it.
I read it now because I wanted to figure out if she was. She's very open on social. That's why I figured. This just came to my head like right before I asked you. So she wasn't asked. There you go. We know that now. But I think she would have been she could have said something that might have.
She could have given a lot of more credibility to the story, where especially when we find out with Awesome Kong Haas, she was making less than a McDonald's manager. Awesome Kong was one of the faces, Mount Rushmores of the Knockouts division. The pay was so unbalanced that she had to make. And she said it herself, she wasn't making enough money, but she was main eventing where women were main eventing before. That's crazy.
I'm not surprised to hear that because we talk about the metrics today with various women's divisions. I know it was more cutthroat back then, so it's just I'm not surprised to hear that.
Oof. And they were putting on they were showing the highlights of the matches they were putting on. They weren't just flaunting in thongs and bikini. This wasn't and no disrespect.
Yes.
No disrespect to Maxine and Dawn Marie, where they were rolling around and you see their little thongs and their little church back and forth. No, these women were fucking beating the shits out of each other in the Knockouts division in 2002 to currently now. They were putting on some matches that they were the real woman evolution in professional wrestling.
Bro, them in the 6-sided ring was awesome.
And thank you for that segment. Let me ask this. Was the 6-sided ring one of wrestling's greatest inventions?
I'm going to say yes, because at the time we never saw it. It was something unique. Again, I know the talent didn't like it, but let's be honest. Like when you think of TNA, you think of that 6-sided ring, and they said it a lot in that. At least for me, and maybe that's just because of when I started watching it. But I truly believe that when that gave TNA an identity for such a long time, and when you thought of the 6-sided ring, you thought of that brand. And when you saw the 6-sided ring, you immediately wanted to watch, everybody do crazy shit off the 6-sided ring. Whether it was Amazing Red, whether it was AJ Styles, whether it was Christopher Daniels doing moonsaults out of the ring. It was good stuff.
I sent to watch that, and then of course the 6-sided ring. I personally didn't see a lot of matches myself in it because I wasn't really connected with that product at that time. I understand the charm, and I can see and I can't wait for next week's episode 3, when they talk about why they went away with it, because they will talk about it and all the different negatives about it. But I did love to hear about the X Division. The X Division is the greatest invention outside of WWE in the past 25 years, in my opinion. It's the X Division. They tried it with the luchadors, with the lightweight, cruiserweights. To me, the X Division is the greatest invention outside that is non-WWE in all of professional wrestling. Period. Stop. That's just my opinion. We could debate about that. And which X Division wrestler defined that era, Chris?
Oh, it's AJ Styles. It's not even a question. That's why I was, again, somebody I wish I participated in this. He definitely wasn't asked. They knew better not to even mention it to him because, you know, he just retired with the E and all that stuff. I don't know. That I could be totally wrong, but anyway, yes, when you think of X Division, you think of AJ Styles. No question. I personally think of Amazing Red, but you think of AJ Styles as a whole.
I agree with that. Koss, I know you're new to the TNA product, but when you think of X Division and what it meant, who names that you hear people circulate, the stereotype. What's in here from outside? Who do you think the X Division when you think of the X Division? What names pop up to your mind?
AJ Styles. I would say maybe Frankie Kazarian. I went back and saw some Amazing Red footage over the past couple of weeks coming off of Slammiversary, so I can see why he was so influential in it. And as watching the current product right now, Leon Slater, guys, very athletic, stringy, maybe smaller guys. Those are the guys that really pop your eye when you think of the X Division.
The X Division's always been, in my opinion, the strong side of TNA because, like, when I was watching TNA around like the bad times, like right where it was like 2012 to like 2015, like that was fucking terrible. You still had Austin Aries, who was at that time as a kid. Now I think he sucks, but I actually thought he was a decent heel. You had Chris Sabin, who was putting on bangers every week, and then you had what's his face? You had Joaquin Wilde when he was in TNA as Zima Ion. That shit, I think. Now I look back at it, it was bad. But as a kid, I thought that shit was so cool. And you still had he used to like Robbie E, who's now what's his name? The GM from NXT.
Robert Stone.
Robbie E, and he used to come out like Paulie from the fucking New Jersey, and with the that shit was what a time to be an Impact fan. But yeah, I mean the X Division. So my point to say all that is the X Division, in my opinion, in my history of watching it, has always been something that it's been the strong you could look forward to on the show. Everything else could suck, but if you get a Chris Sabin and Austin Aries, or a Rob Van Dam and Zima Ion or Joaquin Wilde, okay, I'm tuned in, while everything else sucks. So, yes, the X Division, I could agree with your statement there.
Yeah, that's then X Division is one of those popular ones. And boy, you know what I love, and I wish I would have seen it live. I wish I was in me for my. I've said it many times. I'll say it many times, and I'll say it again. For my ignorance of being just a WWE with the blinders. So many times I was invited to go for free tickets to TNA and Universal Studios, not able to participate, not going because of my own pride. Boy, I missed out when Kurt Angle made his debut on TNA. When they showed that footage and they relived it, and even that small moment, 20 plus years, I still feel the impact, no pun intended. When Kurt Angle comes out and headbutts Samoa Joe and that feud, that introduction to that was a holy shit moment, Chris. I know if you were watching it from the misconception, that still doesn't go, that goes past the test of time.
Dude, Kurt Angle in TNA was so fun. Even his character work, like the main, like I will never forget Main Event Mafia and Booker T's just trying his hardest not to get him to crack, and he's all perked up and he's sitting there next to Sting and Scott Steiner, like trying his absolute, like Kurt Angle has some fun times in TNA. But yeah, see, you know, looking back, this documentary again, looking back on it, because I want to go back to the documentary, because I know we talked a little bit about the history there, but the documentary with Kurt Angle, I think they, again, I wanted to hear his perspective because they made, I don't know if they made him to be in the best of light in this. Again, I don't think they said anything too negative, but this is where, again, when Karen says, I tried, or I whatever, who knows? That's just, but again, it's none of our business. Like Karen told us in the documentary, it was none of your guys' business. That's why I never talked about it. But I give her respect at the end of the day because she said it. It's part of Jeff's story.
Right.
So for
And
her to get on camera and talk about her ex-husband like that, I give her, again, kudos in the world for Karen Jarrett. And she still looks fine as shit.
Haas, just to tell you, she said that they were separated. They weren't together. They were legally, not together, but they had children. And she says, you know what? Let's try to make it work as a handler. I'll be, go there to put on the perception that we're a family. And Kirk just got out of the WWE, fired or released, or I don't remember, it was released or quit, whatever the case was. He wasn't in WWE. This was an opportunity. They have little kids. Their marriage is on the rocks, but here's a chance for them to get a payday. I'll pretend because we need money. And if it's me pretending to be your wife or saying we're together just to get you this payday and glory in this upstart company, I'll go along with the ride with it. That's what she told us and came along with it. But management at that time, which was divided, half of the management knew they weren't together. They weren't a real company, but they wanted to continue going and so for the betterment of the family to make money. And that's what it led where she felt she was his handler, a friend, but she wasn't satisfied as a wife. And they make Kurt Angle feel like a functioning addict.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
Something that we left off real quick because we're talking about the whole Karen Angle thing. I think what spiraled this too with Dixie Carter is who's who was Hulk Hogan's best friend that had a radio show? Was it
Bubba the Love Sponge?
Bubba the Love Sponge. When
he
that
comes out like a turd.
When that caller went on Bubba the Lunch Sponge and was like, and they showed the footage and was like, "Yo, Dixie or Karen's living with Jeff and Dixie's pissed." That probably pissed off Dixie and Kurt, because Kurt probably heard that from that radio call, and Dixie's probably like, "Well, who the fuck is this guy? How the fuck does he know? And why is he calling into at that time one of the more popular radio shows?" Still is. He's still doing his thing to this day. A radio show.
And it wasn't a person though. It was a person. Let me get it right.
It was a TNA employee.
It was a wrestler. Or they say employee, and they changed the voice, Haas. It was like yeah. So by the way, shout out to we got Famous Davis shouting out. Wanted to give you a shout out there, acknowledge you, thank you, happy Saturday in the chat there, my friend. Appreciate you.
What up, brother?
Yeah, so they say it was a caller that called in, disguised his voice as and said and spilled the beans on television. So maybe that's what Dixie Carter on radio. Maybe why Dixie Carter had a little bit of a kind of upset. Who's leaking shit? Like, oh man, we got a rat in our head.
I don't blame her honestly, but because she looked at it like it was bad for business. Like, the founder of TNA is just basic, and I'm going to use the new TikTok and kid version. Oh, Jeff Jarrett's the owner of the company stole Kurt Angle's bitch, and who's the number one fucking superstar in the company. That's what people looked at it at the time. Let's be honest. Let's just be honest. That's exactly how in that exact way I said it. It's not right to say it. At that time, that is exactly how everybody looked at it. And the boys can fucking tell you. D'Lo Brown said it too. That is how people looked at this, and it just rubbed them the wrong way. Again, whatever they do is their thing, but Dixie looked at it like the way I just told you, along with all the other boys in the locker room. So she used that, again, to kick that man out of the fucking door in the company that he founded.
And it's coming to bite him in the ass a little bit now, because if you heard Busted Open yesterday, they had Goldie on. Goldie was interviewed by and she felt feared for her life that one of the Panda investors was very they had to hire a woman of the night, a prostitute, because the dude was trying to dip into the talent and was gooning Chris. Sexual harassment all around, bro.
Again, this is that's always a tough thing to get into. I will say this because I'm with Dave. If you saw Dave's reaction, I'm kind of like the same way he is when stuff like this gets talked about, because it's just like I just think it's so evil. So but yeah, I mean, that's again, Who knows what was going on? I don't know. I have no comment on that, honestly.
You know what I gotta say though.
The only thing I wish that Kev is they would have given her more time.
Well, Goldie's more than welcome on our program. She wants to tell a story. We'll give her more than an hour. Not like David Greco gave her 20 minutes and cut her off. We'll give her all the time she needs, and we'll promote her music career, rock and roll career here on the Sports Jedi Media Network. Chris, this is what I came out of it. I think Dixie Carter knew about the perv investor that she had with Goldie. I think she had an idea or knew about it, and she was trying to hush it or move it out of the hand. And then you see Karen and Kirk and Jarrett's situation, and she's like, "Oh, damn it! I'm trying to avoid it here." And then it's coming from even my own, higher up is doing this. She said, maybe that's what triggered her to overreact.
You could be on to something there.
Dude,
people don't remember her. Like, she was interviewing R-Truth when he was the NWA champion. Like, people really need to go back and take a look at Goldilocks.
Yeah. We'll definitely, again, for Goldilocks, we would love to have you on. One-on-one, tell your side of the story. You have plenty of time here. We give you as much time as you need. You're more than welcome here. And of course, we will definitely will love to have you on to conversate with us. Chris, I can't wait for the next episode because we know about the Hulk. If you watch the Hulk House, if you watch the Hulkamania documentary on Netflix, he says TNA helped him save his life. We're getting that job when Eric Bischoff got Hulk that job. But here in this documentary, Dixie Carter wanted that mainstream. And when he went to the dad, maybe the dad was like, I want to kind of like cut the funding here. And maybe Dixie Carter says, Dad, I'm going to bring Hulk Hogan. And I think that's another way of getting more money because, Hogan is polarizing, whether you like him or not. And he's mainstream because let's face it, no one knew. If you go to investors and say, I got a Kurt Angle or Samoa Joe, but I'm going to bring Hulk Hogan, where would you put your money at that time? At that time in the career, in 2007, whenever this happened?
Hulk Hogan, no question.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see where it wasn't the right decision. Time says it wasn't. And that's why I think we're going to leave off there for episode 3 and so forth for the final episode of the TNA story, Chris. All in all, I think it was good.
My final thoughts. Episode 3 will be, in my opinion, I think it's gonna be focused on Dixie, Dixie, Eric, and Hogan. It's gonna focus on the passing of Jeff's dad because it was fairly recently, in I believe 2023 or 2024. So they're gonna get into that. And they're just going to get into TNA now and what Jeff's doing now with AEW, which is why Tony Khan is in the documentary.
Right. And then we're going to find out and see where that goes.
But yes, great watch. Great watch. Again, like I said, this one and the Chris Benoit ones are my favorite Dark Side of the Ring. I've seen every single episode. I'm going to continue to. And I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. After the TNA one, they got some cool stuff. They got, I think, Bam Bam. They got some cool stuff coming out this season. So yeah, we'll hopefully we get to talk a little bit about more coming up.
Off the subject, the best one I've seen on Dark Side of the Ring might have been New Jack.
I love that one. The New Jack was.
I gotta watch that.
Well, I'll give you 3 to recommend. The Chris Benoit one is phenomenal. The Chris Benoit one was done really well. The Owen Hart one is very good. And there was one more. The New Jack one's very good. There was Macho Man and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
That one's very good.
I'm gonna be honest with you, the 7 seasons that this been on, this is the first 2 episodes I ever watched of Dark Side of the Ring.
Really?
I'll be totally honest with you.
Oh my god. It's on, bro. Go on Tubi when you have a chance. They're all the first few seasons are free on Tubi. Yeah. Dude.
I wasn't compelled and interested because I kind of knew their stories. But now with watching the TNA, because I did not know the TNA story, I do want to go back and see how accurate this is so I could give volition to the TNA story or validation to the TNA story.
So the reason why I'm so into Dark Side of the Ring is because it came out right before coronavirus, right before COVID. So they dropped those seasons. We had nothing to do. I wasn't, I watched all of it, and I was covering him for another channel back then. Yeah, They do a really good job of really getting everybody's family involved, and all that stuff. But there's a lot, man. Again, the Snuka one of the Jimmy
That
Snuka
one I would like to see.
That's a very good one.
It is. It is.
The Road Warriors one's a very good one. Oh, the Brian Pillman one you have to watch. That's the third one that I wanted to tell you. Watch the Benoit, Owen Hart, and Brian Pillman. Those are the three. Oh, and Chris Canyon.
Who's better than Canyon? No one.
There's Canyon. Luna. Oh, Luna Vachon's is very good as well.
Oh, so there's some characters there that I need to watch.
Yes, there's a lot. There's a lot. Yes, go watch it. I recommend everybody go on Tubi, watch the first 2-3 seasons for free. And yes, it's very good stuff. But yes, great episode. Great episode
there, and we'll be watching for total nonstop. Actually, speaking of TNA, I thought this past week we'll talk a little TNA and then we'll take a break. We'll talk real quickly on TNA. Chris, I thought TNA had a really good Thursday Night Impact here. Their second week of taping in Albany, up and down. I really enjoyed the Impact Zone. We got to see some wrestlers that people were getting excited for in the Knockouts division. They had their one and done. Hey, nice to see you. We'll talk to you later, Chris. I'm gonna go to Haas because Haas hasn't spoken for a bit.
Yes,
here.
Go ahead, because I caught a glimpse at what happened this Thursday.
Haas, is this Knockouts tournament for the television title? Is it resonating with you? Is hitting with you?
As we get deeper in it, I think it will. Some of the matches were pretty good. I did like the Mara Shade Tasha Steelz match. That was nice. Was it Heather? I think Heather beat Allie. Is that correct? I saw parts of that match. That was okay. My biggest takeaway from it wasn't even the Knockouts TV Championship match. It was the rematch between Zaya and Li Ying Li. That was a pretty good match. So, but back to the tournament, I think as we get deeper and we see it unfold, I think it's going to get better.
And yeah, I want to stick on the tournament there. We got to see two ladies that have a lot of fanfare, at least online. We saw Vicious Vicky Vertuno and Gabby Forza, the gnome. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be honest with you. Forgive me. I wasn't impressed with Gabby Forza. You had Danny Luna there. I thought this was a lower budget of Danny Luna. I was not impressed. I'm glad our girl Jody Threat won. Thank you for coming. I thought we were going to get an upset in Vicious Vicky, but I knew India was going to win. Hey, it was what it was. They were women for the tournament. They were entertaining matches. I was not. People say they were impressed with her in her loss with Gabby Forza. I don't see it. I don't see it.
I honestly wasn't impressed with either one, and I mean that with all due respect. I don't mean that in any disrespect. I wasn't impressed with either one of them.
The only thing I see of Vicious Vicky is her size, her mannerisms. Great. Mm-hmm. But even to that,
not so much.
Okay, it maybe because of lack of in ring with the higher elevating of talent. But
it sells okay though.
Yes,
I'll give her that. She sells fine. But yeah,
I wasn't.
I won't go too much into that.
Both the right ladies won and moved on in this tournament.
That's the best way to put it. Yep.
The right ladies won, put on this tournament. I know everyone was talking about. I want to talk about something that's not even related. I like Haas always talks about character developments, story developments, and prompt. I am all over the Frankie Kazarian King speech with all the participants in the whole segment. It was featured with Moose. You started to build tension between Moose and Frankie Kazarian. They gave each other some flowers. They got back and forth, but then out comes AJ Francis with impressions. Bro, I love what Trick Williams and Little Yachty is doing. I like with AJ Francis and the little tugboat or rowboat is doing here on this side of TNA. I am enjoying everything, guys. Haas, the tension, the aspiration, they're going to lead to a match between AJ and Moose. I know we've seen it before, but the way they're telling it, it's just, again, you could have repeat matches, but if you do implement stories and you implement angles and so forth. I'm for it. I'm waiting to see it, House.
Yes, the rematch is not going to be too. It doesn't really matter too much because with the way the direction TNA is going, they want to get newer people to watch the product, so they may not be that familiar with Moose or AJ Francis. So getting a rematch here to go, it's no problem with it. But yes, these two big behemoths going at each other. AJ Francis probably carrying it with the character work. It's a very good watch. It's very fun.
It's very fun. Chris, AJ Francis wins this match with impressions helping him. And he beats a strong name in Moose. I think we got to start thinking about AJ Francis in that world title picture. And I love it with impression. Are you liking impressions? I know this is a question that's a little bit all over the place. Are you liking impressions? And do you see the vision I think they're putting out?
Listen, impressions isn't doing too much yet. So I will say yes, he's fine. He's not doing too much. But yeah, I've been saying this for freaking the last year now. We got to get AJ Francis into that world title scene. He's the biggest heel in my opinion. I think he's a better heel than Nemeth right now. Now he's not a bigger star, a better performer, but he's a better heel right now than Nick Nemeth. So yeah, well, we'll see what happens there. But there's no question that in 2027, if he's there, he'll be your TNA World Champion.
I wish I remember the line, House. There was a line that Impression said it was fucking funny. I was like, you got to listen to that interview again, or when they were in the King's speech. There was a line that he got on the microphone. I was like, yo, that dude was funny. You know what? He won me over. I'm all the same way. I am on one over with AJ Francis teaming up with because look, AJ Francis is a hell of a. We interviewed him. You can check out an interview here on this channel or on my old channel. They're both there. They're still going on. You can still see those interviews with AJ Francis about 2 weeks ago, right before his time anniversary, the week of. We spoke with AJ Francis. We appreciate him for coming on and joining us and putting on hold the World Cup game to interview with us, by the way. So I wanted to make sure he told us that. But I love what his work. I love what he's doing there. And going forward, I can't wait to see where they're going with him. And one thing that we did see developing, though, I know you're a big fan of the Order 4. The opening contest, they started off hot with the Hardys versus the Good Hands. Good Hands loses, but their storytelling with Mustafa Ali and someone on the phone. Are you intrigued with this storyline, this mystery?
Yes, because going into next week, we're going to have an Order 4 address, and Mustafa Ali is pissed. He's going to address the nation of TNA in the rest of Order 4. It's going to be good television. We're going to see some very good promo chops out of Mustafa Ali the next week. I believe the push is on now.
The push is on. Chris, what do you think is happening in that with the Good Hands and right call for the Hardys to open up this Thursday because you saw that arena. I mean, the Hardys always gets that pop, but that pop. And you see even the young chicks. You saw that girl, she was lusting all over the camera for the Hardys.
Yeah, no, smart move to have the Hardys start off the match. But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with Mustafa Ali. I think it's gonna again. I'm a big fan of what them in Order 4 got going on. I'm ready to see somebody maybe step up and give him a real challenge, and then he's off to the races for the world title scene as well. But for now, yeah, I like what they got going with Order 4, and we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, I want to talk real quick. I'm just giving a little bit honorable mention. You had that triple threat tag team. You saw Leon Slater and Ricky Sosa teaming up against the System, Brian Myers, Bear Brunson, the Righteous, Vincent, and Dutch. The moments. We were talking about wrestling giving us moments when you had Bear Brunson and Dutch in the middle of the ring. Two big Haas going at it in the middle of the ring, going banging there and clanging and doing all that. But Ricky Sosa and Leon Slater continue to win. Are you afraid, Haas, that they're going to lead to tag team titles with Leon and Ricky?
No, I think it's just a spotlight on Ricky right now, and with Leon because they really don't have a clear direction with both these guys right now, so they just want to get them on TV as much as possible.
That's why I was afraid. That's why I asked that, Chris, if they go into that tag team route because they don't win the tag teams off of the Hardys and then one turns heel against one another. I don't want to see the one turn heel, but and then one leaves. You know, if Leon's leaving the company, that's the way of going that route. And they don't. They no titles. Yeah, Haas.
They can't go. Neither one of those guys can go heel right now.
I agree with you.
I agree.
They're too much of fan favorites right now, especially Ricky Sosa with the theme music coming out with the bang bang. Because if he go heel, he got to change his whole presentation. No way TNA is going to do that right now. And
that'll be a mistake.
Exactly. And with Leon Slater, we talked about it last week. Like, if you're not going to give him a big extension or put the title on him, you cannot turn him heel right now. You just can't.
Yes,
I agree. I agree.
And we'll talk about this main event. It's a no disqualification match for your TNA Knockouts title. Zaya Brookside versus Ying Li Yi, and what a strong match! Brutal no disqualification. The relentless. I thought this match for them because compared to their first match that we saw in December, great improvement. The right outcome. I think Brookside. What happens to Li Ying Li going here?
I have no idea.
I think I think we all think Elena Black's going to win the Knockout TV title.
Yeah,
we all consensus with that. I think Li Ying Li might be her first person after that.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah, that'd be a good opponent for her too. But I have no idea. I'm not that into Ying Li. I'll be honest.
And I mean, do you see her TNA coming to an end quick?
Could be. I'm not surprised anymore.
I believe they're trying to dip into a market with her. I don't think they're gonna let her go no time soon.
I mean, let me ask this, Haas, a follow up on that. Do you think they dipped into the Chinese market with her being champion, being the first ever?
I believe they'll try. I don't know how strong wrestling is in China, but why not? China got their hands in a lot of our things here in America. Why not try wrestling? So it wouldn't hurt.
No, but they had their opportunities with Ying Li as your Knockouts champion since November. Do you think they have enough metrics or enough gravitas to see if she was an impact? No pun intended.
I mean, it's hard to gauge it because with the people that are booking her and the creative, we don't really see her what her potential could really be because they don't know how to properly book her. They booked her strongly, but still you got to give people something, make them gravitate to her. And they haven't done that.
I hear what you said, but for us, the Americans, they didn't do that. But her, just her alone, since winning that title in November at the theater at Madison Square Garden, until losing the title at Slammiversary, they had about good 6 months with her. That was enough time to market in China, where let's face it, I don't know if the Chinese, I don't know if they're watching wrestling for the storytelling. They're probably watching it for the in-ring. And you're right. There's not a lot of in-ring action with storytelling. I don't know what's the beauty on the eye of the beholder of the Chinese wrestling fan, if there is one. So I don't know what and maybe they felt that the matrix wasn't enough and we have to make the title switch.
With the American market, well, I will say this. It seems like if you go to Zaya Brookside's X, she's really giving a lot of eye candy out there. A lot of goon squad stuff out there that she's been putting out there. So I believe that's the way they're going with it. They're trying to get the market up for the male demographic in America. And with Li Ying Li, I just it's just hard to gauge because we know how the Japanese watch wrestling. I have no clue how China consumes wrestling. I have no clue.
I tend to agree. We don't know. That's a market that there is no statistics, analytics, or anything that's given to us. And maybe TNA's trying something that I don't know. This is I'm gonna let my final thing on the TNA. We had a tweet sent out by one of our favorite wrestlers, the best of the best, the one and only Mike Santana. July 15th, 7/15. Guys, I know that falls on a Wednesday. And I know everybody immediately, when there's a free agent, they say 3 letters that everyone's going to sign with. He's just a free agent. I personally don't know where he's showing up, where he's going to go. And look, if Khan pays him a shitload of money, if he's giving him $1 million to go wrestle in AEW, bro, Michael Sanchez, go take that $1 million and make an impact for your daughter. I don't care if you don't like where you have there. If they're giving you $1 million, take it. If they're going to pay you the most money, Mike, go take it. That's all I got to say, Chris. I know. We all love to see him in WWE personally, but if all of the wrestlers going to give him $2 million, bro, he got to go take that money.
I agree, but it's not happening. I think it's just.
I know that.
I agree with what you said. It's just his free agency date.
Yeah. I hope he makes a lot of money.
I don't believe in the whole burning bridges thing in wrestling. I really don't believe it. If you could draw money, if you can get people to come watch the product, they will sign you. Tony Khan, I believe in a heartbeat Tony Khan would sign CM Punk if he had the chance again. I believe he would do it.
The only match I would want to see Santana go against is MJF. I have no other interest in seeing Santana against anybody in AEW. I'll be honest. There's not going to be a story there anymore. But the only person I would want to see him wrestle is MJF.
Chris, you don't want to see Mike Santana versus Kyle Fletcher, Mike Santana versus Ricochet, Mike Santana versus Mark Briscoe, Mike Santana versus. I mean, you know how you see the TNA, the AEW wrestlers put all these names immediately, all these dream matches.
There's only one.
Bobby Lashley, Mike Santana versus Shelton Benjamin, Mike Santana versus
Pockets.
Oh my God.
The only person I want to see Mike Santana have a match with is MJF, and they'll probably do it too soon.
No, we shall find final segment here, but we're going to hear a quick break from one of our sponsors, and of course, be right back with it. Let's hear from Devin. No, let's hear from G Fuel because they've been a good sponsor to the show.
All right. Before we keep this energy going, shout out to the sponsor of tonight's stream, G Fuel Energy. If you're watching this live, you already know. We don't do slow reactions. We don't do low energy. We stay locked in. And that's exactly what G Fuel brings to the table. Zero sugar, loaded with focus, and built for long streams just like this. Whether you're grinding, gaming, or watching chaos unfold with us, G Fuel keeps you going. Hit the link in the description, use code PGHCHRIS, and level up your energy the same way we do on Sports Jedi Network. Let's get back to it.
I'm Tom Hannafin from TNA Wrestling. You're watching the Jedi Sports Network.
All right. Thank you, Tom Hannafin. Now, we're going to the final segment here, the WWE. Start off, my goodness, with some fireworks. Monday Night Raw from Chicago, Illinois. Yes, indeed, the big one. We have a new undisputed world champion, and title opportunities fall from the sky in CM Punk. But I want to talk about how we got Monday Night Raw started, where Gunther kicks the door and knocks and makes Cody Rhodes bleed, took Cody Rhodes out. I'm being told, brutally honest, I kind of knew we were heading there. Where I saw that, I was like, oh, he's not going to be in this match. Did you think Punk was going to come out? I didn't think Punk was going to be world champion, but I didn't think, I said, oh, Punk is going to show up here, there, and there. Your thoughts, Haas? You thought when that happened, what was going through your mindset? Give us a little bit of peek behind your mind.
I'm just gonna tell you that I was just so happy Cody Rhodes was off my television. I was so happy.
I agree, brother.
I don't care if Gunther had won the title that night. Long as Cody Rhodes did not touch that gold, I was happy. Matter of fact, on X this past week, someone asked me who was the worst wrestler on television right now. And I said, out of sheer boredom, I said WWE was Cody Rhodes and Rhea Ripley. These are two of the most boring characters on television right now. But that's a different subject. Yes, I was just happy that Cody Rhodes was written off my TV. I was happy.
Wow. I thought Gunther was going to – I'm being honest with you. When I was thinking, Chris, I said, you know what? Gunther took out Cody. Gunther's going to get weasel his way into that title picture, and then Punk is going to stop. And Sammy's going to win by some reason. That's what I thought, Chris.
In the beginning, I was just like, I thought we weren't going to get the match at all, and something was going to play out till Friday. But I knew Punk was coming back at some point. I didn't know he was going to win the title, but I knew he was going to be there. I thought they would just carry the angle on the Friday because you're having a SmackDown championship being defended on a Raw. That's what I thought was going to happen. They teased it. They wanted people to tune in and then swerve us by this, but that wasn't the case. But that's what I thought was happening.
And I'm not gonna lie, that match was really good. Punk and Sami Zayn.
Oh, the crowd was phenomenal. Punk in Chicago, no matter what company, it's good stuff. So yeah, that was my match of the week. When I said the second match was Fletcher and Takeshi, this was my match of the week just because of that crowd. And again, Punk in Chicago is very, very good anywhere he goes.
Yes, like I'm not the biggest fan of CM Punk. I think he's full of shit as a human being in real life, but as a wrestler, man, he's a very good wrestler. He's compelling on television, so he doesn't make me turn the TV off, unlike a lot of people in this company right now. But yes, Cody Rhodes. But yes, CM Punk. Yep, I'm glad that he was part of it. Now, we can also argue that it makes zero sense. We can make that argument. And we can also argue that Sami Zayn, even though I don't think he got did dirty, I think this is going to make Sami Zayn even that much more compelling going forth.
And which leads me to my next question. Should Sami Zayn reign have lasted longer?
No.
I'm with you.
No.
My whole thing is it just the story should be better. It just doesn't make sense because we got guys who comes out who hasn't been wrestling for 3 months. Well, 2.5 to 3 months, comes here and gets a title shot and he wins. So it's justified that Sami Zayn should go heel and be completely badass right now. So I'm not mad Sami Zayn lost. I'm just mad at the circumstances of how it happened.
And it's not even that Punk hasn't wrestled in 2 or 3 months. The last time we saw him wrestle, he was losing his other world title to Roman Reigns in the main event at Mania.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes this kind of. Oh, I don't mind. I look at the end of the day. They think. I mean, I don't care what I'm not saying this because everybody. I see some other people say it. Just by what they're doing, why they did this and going into SummerSlam, they made the match so quick last night between Cody and
we'll get into that. Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get into much of that right now because I know we are going to get into that later. But I'm bringing that up. Oh, I'm bringing that up now because I'm saying that to say I don't think they wanted Sami Zayn in the main event with one other person. If he gets thrown into this match, I don't want it, but whatever. That's the only way it makes sense to him get back in there. But I believe that they wanted the biggest matches they could for SummerSlam. And they literally have the 2 biggest matches for SummerSlam that you could do in the company. So I think that's why they gave Punk the title on Monday.
I think this was always in the works. They was always in the works because going back to that last Monday Night Raw when he says you never know when a title opportunity falls from the sky. They've been building that. They've been storytelling that back then. Just because we assume it's going to be Money in the Bank, but they keep moving Money in the Bank all the way to October. Mm-hmm. I think this was always in the cards. I think this was always in the WWE creative back pocket. Always was there, and they waited and they knew when they were going to execute. I think even Sami Zayn knew that he was going to have a short title run, and I think this was all laid out. Also, Nick, how they got to it. I know you said Nick Aldis saw the story of Adam Pearce trying to screw his show by putting his title match on Monday Night Raw. So Gunther takes out the main eventer and goes, "Well, I got someone to replace that. You're not going to one up me and put one of your Raw guys or put Jey Uso in there to try to win this undisputed title. I'm going to bring in another guy." Like he mentioned, he negotiated. They all talk, and I love that they connected the dots, guys. They then connected the dots and they broke it down because we saw that on Friday Night SmackDown. First and foremost, Nick Aldis was reinstated, said he was reinstated, back in as full-time general manager. You have CM Punk comes out, pretty much explains how he got that title shot. Also a negotiation we're blowing their lines here because now the Unreal is coming out. So they're also pushing Unreal season 3, where he says I was in negotiation with Universal, Peacock, and the USA Network for me to come on Friday nights. So they kind of trying to say this was something that they've been negotiating. That's why kind of saying why he was off of television, where they're trying to at least tell the story of why all this happened. Then he mentions all these names. He mentions Balor. He mentions all these names. He doesn't talk about Cody, but Cody comes out because I think us as fans knew that Cody was going to be the name, and they brought Cody Rhodes out there. And now we get that match set up. I don't know about you, Haas. Did you like the build-up? We're going to get the main event, or you thought it was too soon and like, I need more?
It's bad television. I don't like it.
Okay.
It's lazy booking because you're not going to give us any good build. The promos are going to be terrible. We might get one good week of promos like we just did we just had this experiment with Roman and Punk. It came in with so much energy, and by the time we got to WrestleMania, it just petered out because it's the same thing. It's the same.
I'm gonna turn into Aaron. Did it deliver?
Man, a banger match, but the build was shit. It's just like because we got two faces going at each other again. It divides the fan bases, and this is gonna work in Punk's favor because Cody's not nowhere near big as Roman Reigns. He can't split the crowd, and a lot of people are gonna realize this. But I don't like it. And another thing too, you're just slowly burying Obafemi again because. Out of all those names that CM Punk named yesterday, the King of the Ring winner name did not come up. He should be the number one contender. His name did not come up.
You made a great point there because he says, I got to watch my back with a rising Obafemi. I know he has that. He should have met Punk. I think that slipped out of Punk's mind. You know what? You make a good point because you make a good point there. I'm going to give it to you. You made a good point.
Because almost everybody that he named, he beat already, other than Cody Rhodes. He beat Gunther. He beat Finn Balor. He's just naming people that he's already beat. That's why Punk's full of shit. This promo, like, I would no full disclaimer here. I'm not a big fan of Punk as a baby face because he's just it's terrible. It's a terrible promo, but people love it. How's it feel to be alive on a Friday night in Oklahoma? And the best in the world this and the best in the world that. I'm just like, you don't even try anymore, but that's just corporate man Punk for you. Look at this man here. Look at him. That ain't the same guy. That's chick magnet Punk shirt you're wearing. This is corporate monster Punk that we're talking about right now. This is kiss ass monster Punk that we're talking about. But yes, it's very lazy television. They gave us this match already with no real build. I'm not a fan of it.
All right, Chris. I want to put this out there. We heard now Friday, they made this official for Saturday night's main event.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tag team. You're going to have Gunther, Sami Zayn teaming up against Cody and CM Punk. That's where you're probably going to get a little bit of a toe in the line of your Cody Rhodes heel because Saturday night's main event, if you look at the history and the lineage, there's always some heel turns happening inside the main event. Paul Orndorff on Hulk Hogan, Macho Man on the Hulkster. It has a history of turning on partners heading into SummerSlam. I could see something along those lines at Madison Square Garden, Chris.
Cody turning heel at Madison Square Garden would definitely be something. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I would like that. Yeah, the tag team match at Saturday main event. The goal. I'm confused because, like Hoss said, you're going to have two mega baby faces going against each other. I don't see any of them turning heel. And to me, it's like, this is the can you coexist type of match. I like when moments happen from that match, from those type of matches, like a Cody Rhodes, like they win the match and Cody attacks him, or Cody causes the match some way, somehow, or vice versa. I'm not so sure if we're gonna get a moment that if that makes sense. I want something to come out of this tag team and not just can they coexist, they win, they go off the air. I want something to happen after.
It's not gonna happen. I'm predicting it's not gonna happen like that. I don't think Cody's going to say he's not going to go Hulk Hogan turning heel and the third man of the NWO. I think Cody's going to accidentally do something that not or Punk where it's going to hit. I think Punk by accidentally is going to hit Cody, knock him out. They're going to get the pin, and then Cody's going to be doubting Punk and say, "What was that?" To lead to some television animosity. No one's going to, and it might be boring or might be upsetting for you, Haas, but no one's going to be declared the heel. But they're going to show that animosity of them in that losing that tag team match for Saturday night's main event. An accidental hit, someone gets knocked, or either Punk hits Cody or vice versa. I think that here's my one thing I'm afraid of. I don't want a fatal four-way. That's all I'm afraid of.
I was just gonna say before Haas goes, I was gonna say, what if this is some way where like Sammy and Gunther
they're gonna stake their claim.
And exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. So we could possibly be getting a fatal four-way. Saturday main event is going to have a lot to do with if we're getting the fatal four-way, in my opinion, the way I look at it.
Yes. I don't see it. You can't sell tickets that way.
I agree.
They want to sell me a high price ticket. They want me to buy a plane ticket to Minnesota, buy a high price wrestling ticket for a fatal four-way with three boring ass guys and our champion CM Punk. No, you can't do it. I will say this: the Madison Square Garden is going to be this is going to be a Danhausen show. I believe Danhausen is going to probably curse Cody Rhodes, and we're going to get something to come out of that. About the guys coexist, can they coexist? They're two faces. Why wouldn't they be able to coexist? I mean, again, it just doesn't make any sense. If one of them actually has some animosity against each other going in, I would buy it. But they're friendly with each other. Like they just had another Glaze Fest last night. They weren't doing nothing but just giving some sarcastic zingers against each other. That's all it was. Oh, I came out here to check on your eye. You didn't come out here to check on my eye. I mean, they're basically kissing each other's ass anyway. I'm more inclined to think that Sammy and Gunther are going to do something to each other, as they should, because why would they shouldn't be able to coexist at all. And I believe they're going to really do something with Danhausen here. I could just see Danhausen cursing Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes probably takes he gets pinned somehow, and then we're going to go from there.
You didn't see Cody Rhodes coughing, asking Punk to cough with his hands, cupping his hand.
I will say this in the build to this match at SummerSlam. I just can't wait to see Cody Rhodes get exposed week to week by the CM Punk cult of personality chants. They're going to be so much louder than the whoa. They're going to be so much louder for CM Punk. It's going to be a reality check for Cody Rhodes, and I can't wait to see it. That's the
you know how WWE is going to protect themselves, and I'm going to say it here right now. From all that, they're going to put kids on that railing, so with the weight belts, so Cody can stop and sign. Remember this: they're going to put marks, they're going to put plants out there with children and their weight belts, so he could sign and politic his way down the
aisle. I'm over Cody Rhodes. I'm just so over it. I loved it when the story ended when he beat Roman and everything. I was fine with it. Ever since then, this man is boring television. Absolutely paint drying. Like eating your bran flakes in the morning. About as regular as a bowel movement. He's terrible. He's just he's terrible. I'm just gonna be
hopefully this feud adds some raisins to that brand. In upcoming
good in-ring wrestler, but man, every time I hear that music play now, I'm like, man, I dread this, man. I dread it. Like the internet treats Jey Uso, I dread seeing Cody Rhodes.
Well, one thing I wanted to talk here that we didn't speak last week and we left out and want to talk about is Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. That whole entire build. The other side of the world heavyweight title picture that we missed out last week. I want to talk a little bit about that. Seth Rollins comes up addressing SummerSlam with the world heavyweight title, explaining why he chose Roman, why he wants that love affair. I know that, people were at it. Why did he didn't just win the King of the Ring? It would have been made more sense. We all talked about that. But I actually want to spotlight the LA Knight interruption. I thought that son of a gun was on fire with his promo. I didn't like how he ended it because he got knocked on his ass and beat and so forth. But I thought LA Knight interrupting, and my God, LA Knight spoke some truth there, and Rollins was a little bit babbling. It was like, oh, okay. I was confused with Rollins. I'm going to go right to you, Haas, the build with that as I going to go open the door for. I know I got a package from Amazon. So give me your thoughts on that, on the whole Seth Rollins situation.
I don't like it. They want this as a dream match and they can't wait for it. It exposes the WWE as lazy bookers again because they keep playing with nostalgia. They will not give us a story that they can build for weeks. They won't do it. They're scared to do it. The creative sucks, and they are scared to be panned online. So we're just gonna feed you nostalgia, and even the most nostalgic WWE fans are sick of this type of stuff. They're like, because after we've heard everything that Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns can tell us. We've heard it all. It's 14 years, maybe even 15 years of history here. We're tired of opening up our history books, going in our phones, and like, oh man, we got to go back to this. No, how about you give us good episodic television with something that can build up from week to week, other than talking about stuff that happened 10 years ago, 12 years ago. It's the same thing with Punk and Cody, and I'm just tired of that. It's just the WWE formula for building matches is just playing with your nostalgia, and it's boring. It's not good. It's just not good. And I'm in the minority on that one. I know I am because everybody's like, they can't wait to see Seth and Roman. I'm just like, again, I just want good television from week to week.
I saw this match at the Giant Center on SmackDown in like 2016.
There you go.
What could they do different here? What could they really do different in this match?
I don't know. Like it's a good match. Like again, it's one of those things I was talking about earlier, where it's a really good match and it's there, but I've seen it so many times. What like you just said, what else more can they do? Why do I need to see this again? There's with Seth and Roman, what new history has came other than WrestleMania last year? Again, they had a match at WrestleMania in that triple threat where the wise man chose Seth once and for all. And if you think about that, to me, that should have been the end of Seth and Roman. I think Seth and Roman should have ended at that Royal Rumble that year, 2022, I think. But it really should have been WrestleMania the first time in Vegas, 41, because it's like, okay, well, I ruined, I turned on you in the Shield, turned you into the big dog, whatever. You were tribal chief. I took your wise man. I took the one guy that made you the tribal chief. Why? What else is more to tell with these two? That's how I look at it. I could be completely wrong, but
no, you guys have you have the right to feel that way. What the story is that I don't think they have doing a great job accentuating it or bringing it to light. Rollins is trying to get a title that he lost, and Roman is the obstacle that has that title. But they're not telling the good story. They're not telling the right proper story here on Rollins obsessed of getting something that he didn't lose, a backstory, because they overplayed the vision, which the vision hasn't been really impactful, on why why Seth is trying to get his title back, because the day he, quote unquote, got injured by the vision and he had to relinquish his title, and he's trying to and Roman happens to be in possession of that title. They're not telling a good story with it. I'm gonna be totally honest. I'm gonna keep it a buck. That's why it feels nostalgic or rerun, because they didn't tell something. Rollins needs to emphasize that more, that I'm obsessed with something that I never lost, something that was taken away from me by others, that you happen to be opportunistic, and then he should have leaned into that when he started saying about Roman being the chosen one and second generation, and that's why things happen to come to you easily, where I gotta fight and clutch my way to get something that was mine all the time, that was taken away from me. I'm going to ask this. Where's the LA Knight excursion on this? Where does LA Knight fit on this? I love this promo. He hit. I know Jimmy Uso super kicked him, but where are we going with that? I felt more confused with LA Knight.
It's going nowhere because LA Knight goes nowhere. I like LA Knight. I've been a fan of him for a while, but creative don't like him. I'm tired of being jerked around over this with LA Knight. I'm tired of it, so it's going nowhere. And again, this feud here is presenting the same thing that I just talked about with Punk and Cody. Two faces going at each other again. Both of the main events possibly will be two faces going at each other. And this is why they can't sell tickets, because it's not about the talent. It's about the booking of the talents. There's nothing compelling about it. Nothing. And the biggest thing about it too is, and we're going to talk about the formatting of these SummerSlam matches. Out of all these matches, of those two, the two main events are going to happen. Do they have more juice than Oba and Brock 3 in Hell in a Cell?
No. And I'll tell you why. Why? Because of the freaking ESPN. They're probably going to put the Hell in a Cell for the first hour on ESPN for free. By no cost. Dude, that's why.
Yes.
Because Brock Lesnar, let's face it, he's a crossover athlete that was in the UFC, and his name is mentioned so many times on ESPN when he was big fighting against, all the different fighters from Cormier to Cain Vasquez, and so forth. That's why people are going to watch Brock, and then they're going to try to get Obafemi, who's going to be 2027 face of WWE going forward, and that's why they're putting it on. They're putting these matches, their trilogies, on ESPN proper, at no cost.
And this benefits Obafemi more than anybody, because of all these pay-per-views that we've been seeing on, not PLEs, let me get the names right. Of all the PLEs that's been seen on ESPN, UFC, Obafemi, and Brock front and center. This will be for the third straight PLE. Obafemi is going to have some name recognition coming out of this. Like, of all the non household name people for wrestling, Obafemi is going to end up being a big name for these people. I mean, if they do it right, he'll be a bigger name than Sami Zayn coming out of this. He'll be a bigger name than possibly even CM Punk, because he's on. Every time you cut ESPN on to cut wrestling on for PLE, you're seeing Obafemi versus arguably the biggest draw in wrestling right now.
And that's what they're doing for 2027, Hans. They're going to entrust the kingdom, the keys to the WWE, into Obafemi. And Obafemi is going to be the face of the WWE. He's only 27 years old, I believe it, if I'm not mistaken. He's not even 30. And that's how you build a new superstar. I know people are upset about the detour with the King in the Ring. I get it. You guys make great arguments. But I think the longer run, the long play, they're going to entrust this guy for the next 10 to 15 years in the company. And that's why they're doing that. Because he's going to be the biggest crossover superstar in professional wrestling in Brock Lesnar. Bigger, and then he's going to captivate winning that title for Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Now, it's going to suck. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia, but that's not right now. We're not worrying about that right now. We're worrying. We're not going to worry about it at this moment.
Kev, it's going to suck because TKO still owns this company.
I understand. That's something that's something that's out of our hands. That's unfortunately.
I'm not even talking about the advertising. I'm talking about the booking.
Yes.
It's just the booking just will not allow people to get over like they should. And that's the biggest thing. Like, I can say fire Triple H till the cows come home. As long as TKO owns this company, they're not going to let anyone book anyone possible like they should. And it's a damn shame.
No, I could see your point, and I understand where your concerns are when it comes to the physical owners of the company, the board or trust boards of TKO interfering. They've shown proof in their pudding twice, or 2 WrestleManias in a row, and totally put off a lot of the diehards WWE fans and wrestling fans all around. I wanted to talk about this though. I was very surprised with this one though. New World Tag Team Champions, but the outcome, how they got there. There's been a big controversial spark where the outcome there, Braun Breaker, Austin Theory defeat the Street Profits to regain their tag team titles. But the shocking moment came when Maxine Dupree, which we all knew she was going to turn heel, delivers a blow on Dawkins with the referee distraction. But the aftermath, the celebration, jumping in the arms, and the kiss to Austin Theory, where a lot of people are in their morale police, or they're getting crazy about it. I'm gonna go to Chris as the younger guy first, and I want to hear the elder gentleman on the program. I'm the oldest one, so I'll definitely go with that at the end. Chris, your thoughts on that whole situation with Maxine Dupree? We saw the wedding with Anthony Luke, aka Cam Hendricks, but then we see this with Austin Theory.
I don't give a shit about any of that. I'm not like one of these younger fans online that I thought she's married to Anthony Luke. This is wrestling. We're very aware of that. So I the people online that use I thought she's married. Shut up. This is how you know you're new to wrestling or you're very, very young. Now, storyline. It made for a moment. I'm not gonna deny that. It was we kind of saw something like this coming. I didn't think they were gonna kiss. So it was definitely like a surprise moment. However, I do not want them to rinse and repeat what Liv Morgan and Dominic are doing. That is the one thing I don't want to come out of this, because that was very much kind of similar to the same way where Liv and Dom did their, kiss like that. But the moment was good. But again, I'm curious. I'm actually curious to see how this plays out, because the vision's very stale. So if she can somehow bring something good to the vision, which I don't know what, but you have that women there that they've been trying to look for a while. So I'm just trying to think of that, storyline purpose, but I don't want it to be a rinse and repeat of what Liv and Dom are doing with Theory and Liv, where it's like, okay, they do the backstage vignettes and like you got Braun and Logan there, and then you see just Theory and Maxine making out in the corner. I don't want to see that shit every week.
Fair enough. Hoss, your take?
Going to the Maxine helping out for the win. That was a good swerve. That was pretty good. But to wrestling fans that say this wild shit on the internet, talking about I can't believe why would she do that? She's married. You people watch movies, you watch TV shows every day. You think these actors and actresses are not married and they go home to their own spouse every day? And they're like, I had to kiss Nick Cage tonight, whatever. You think they care? They don't, because they're acting. This is what they signed up for. So up here being this silly, you want to be these virtue signaling or the morale police. Get your affairs in order. Go touch grass. Go live a real life. Like I tell you at the beginning of these shows, go wash your ass. Go do something constructive, because that don't make no damn sense. You up here, she's married. I'm like, so most of these people are married. Go back to real television. Anyway, with Maxine, I hope she's just a valet. Let's go back to just having valets and managers. She doesn't have to wrestle another day in her life. I don't care. I promise I don't. I don't have to see her try to do another ankle lock. It's fine. This might actually get Austin Theory over. They don't have to be kissing and making out all the time, but just be that valet for Austin Theory. Let him win some singles matches, and we're off to the races. I think putting the tag team titles back on them was a mistake, because that's tying Braun Breaker back down to these tag team titles, which serves no purpose. They don't know how to book these young guns, all these young guns at one time. It just seems like they're only focused on Oba and Trick Williams right now, which is a shame, because Braun Breaker needs a push as well. You can book all these people at the same time. And Javon Evans is also suffering from this as well, but that's a different discussion.
Oh, he's cooked.
Yeah, because if
he's better off going to hookah bar.
Yeah, we know he's not gonna win that gauntlet match next week, but this stuff is just an anchor around Braun Breaker's neck. Not a fan of it, because I like Braun, I really do. You got a lot of people talking about he should probably move to SmackDown, turn face, and go to SmackDown for what? What's that gonna do? He's gonna be over there with Trick Williams. Then you gonna run him away from Oba Femi to be over there with Trick Williams? It's the same thing. So it all comes back to booking and creative. You book yourselves into holes and don't know what to do. But back to the whole vision thing. This was fine, a fine angle. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. But this might lead Chad Gable back to the Alpha Academy. You know, you had Tozawa and Otis up there looking like sad little puppies. So Chad Gable, you can get them back together, and we got something there. But just don't have Maxine wrestle anymore. Like I don't care. I mean, because you're not going to help her be better because we don't do enough house shows. She don't get enough reps, so she'll never be this great wrestler. But she could be a great valet or a great manager for the division. That's fine.
I hear you guys. Here's my thought. When I saw Maxine with Austin Theory, I said, okay. It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me to at all because, like you said, people tend to be. But this is when you date or you marry an actor or an actress, you know what world you're getting into. They're going to take roles. They're going to play a part. They're going to do this and that. You know, they're going to have, you know, love-making scenes, non-love-making scenes, yeah, all that other good stuff. In a pro wrestler, I'm glad that Anthony Luke, a.k.a. Cam Hendricks, is married to Maxine, and they're both in the business. It will work there because they say, we're going to run this by there. Yeah, let's do it. Especially him trying to move up in the world of wrestling and seeing Maxine have no issues with that. You don't need to see it every week where they're locking lips or spitting in the corner. I get it. Doesn't work. It doesn't bother me. Where you had Joshua Fatu's wife file for divorce a few days ago, and remember how back in the 2 years ago where the character Jey Uso was being linked that he should be romantically with Rhea Ripley, and we had Rikishi come out and say no, that's not good for his wife and all that stuff. Maybe they, you know, if the spouse ain't part of the business, maybe it's a rough ask to have the talent where the male female get supposedly romantically involved on camera if they're not part of the business. Where I know people want to run into and say, what about Dominic Mysterio? One thing about the different story about Dominic Mysterio, they've been together for high school sweethearts, and there's Rey Mysterio and the wife and the sisters that know about the business and his wife is part of the business when it comes to Rey Mysterio. She understood to Dominic Mysterio, kind of knows more of the business. I kind of feel, I'm not trying to say neither one is the bad or worse. I think it's by individual person's upbringing and their morale and their maturity level if this is going to work in the professional wrestling scene where a married spouse gets romantic out with another coworker for the storyline. And then you had the Karen Jarrett situation happen with Kurt Angle. I think there's just a lightning topic that everybody wants to jump on and rage bait, guys.
Well, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think when it comes to Dom, I just think, you know, I feel like his wife, since they've been together since like middle school or high school, it's like she knows more, if that makes sense. I think she's, you know, let's be honest, Dominic didn't get into the business right away, so I'm sure there was conversations and all that stuff. But yeah, they don't make it like her. They don't make it like her nowadays, bro.
No,
she is a trooper.
No, and Haas, you see that what's going on with the San Antonio Spurs with the broadcaster got fired for cheating on his girlfriend. I mean,
the best thing I can say is, man, when you get into this business, these people are actors first, physical specimens second. So you have to understand what you're getting yourself involved with. And for the fans, you got to stop being parasocial people. You got to understand this is an art. This is a medium. This is a TV show. Married people kiss other people on TV shows because they're acting. Stop. It's not that hard. It's not a hard concept to grasp. That's all this is. Mm-hmm. And if you want to get all involved in wrestlers' lives, you need to go. You need to go seek help. You need to seek help. Because I'm pretty sure Maxine Dupree and her husband and Austin Theory and his significant other, they knew what they signed up for and they're okay with it.
Yeah, I think he was okay. he was okay with Austin kissing.
Yeah, if they're not, that it's not none of our business as well. So hey, simple as that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All I say is this though: how odd would it have been if Nikki Bella would have came out and embraced John Cena? Exactly. That's why I'm trying to see from the other side of the coin. When his wife sits at front row, John Cena's wife was there for the retirement tour in the front. If they would have had Nikki Bella, although you had, I believe, one of the wrestlers that was in John Cena's last match was an ex, and I mean, John Cena dated a lot of ladies in the wrestling business.
Yeah, him and Nikki Bella were way too high of a profile couple.
I tend to agree with you.
He went on to the Today Show talking about their breakup.
He proposed to her in WrestleMania, bro.
Like, come on, their relationship was way too highly profiled for John Cena's now wife to be okay with something like that.
See, I'll say that's a special arrangement, because if Nikki Bella did that, that's a shoot. That's not a work. She would have did that on her own volition.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure John would have not signed up for that at all. So that would have been Nikki going into business for herself, and whatever John Cena's wife would have done after that, hey, it's on and popping from there. We would have had a shoot battle from there. So,
but that's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm not trying to defend the online gooners, but maybe that's where a small minority maybe is coming from, to try to avoid situations, to not open up bad publicity or strife in those people's relationships. I can see that maybe 10% of people that were trying to look out for the interest of that. Again, like you said, Haas, mind your business. That's their business. That's their lifestyle. I think it goes by, to me personally, I say this again, is by the maturity level of the individuals and their upbringings. To me, that's how it is. I don't think it works for everyone. I think there's some people that in relationship-wise are not mature enough to handle that or go for that, and so forth. I think it's by a person-to-person individual case, in my opinion.
Yeah. Kev, I'll tell you this. I couldn't date or marry a stripper. I couldn't do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's people that will love that. Because they'll see it on My Baby Brings Money. Or people that marry the adult film industry actresses.
Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. You see General just divorced his wife. She was a former adult film actress. I couldn't do that personally. I couldn't do it.
The number one contender, Boca Raton heavyweight champion, is dating Matt Riddle. Hey, look at his significance of it. He's got a big matchup against Steve Macklin coming up in April 16th for the Boca Raton heavyweight title. And Matt Riddle's partner, she's been, I believe, a stripper or something like that. Like, it's some people have the maturity of dating in that person in that field. They know how to separate it. Like you said in night mode, fuck no.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
Couldn't do it.
Couldn't fucking do it, dude. I don't give a fuck how many 100 bills you're bringing back. I don't care how many Franklins you're coming home with.
My final segment, I want to say this, guys. Don't forget, if you haven't followed us, please do follow us on all the different programs. We're going to shout them out in a minute, but I want to make this. Today is July 11th, and I want to shout out a big happy birthday to the channel. My partner, the one and only Chef Dan. Happy birthday, Chef Dan. We know you're watching, listening to. Wanted to make sure we give you your flowers, your acknowledgement. Happy birthday to the big Chef Dan. Appreciate you, brother. Definitely, I texted you a little earlier, but we'll definitely call you afterwards. And if you're watching along, we're shouting you out on the stream. Chef Dan, happy birthday.
I will text you soon. I will also text you too, brother. Happy birthday, my guy. I will also send you a text here in the next hour or so.
And don't forget, we got MLW Files with Mr. Thomas and the one and only Mr. Jeff Lipman. Monday, they'll be breaking down all the stuff there. Because I want to hear their thoughts, because they kind of knew it, but they couldn't. They had to keep quiet because Baron Corbin has returned to the WWE. I love his interjection on that Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes, because they worked well in NXT before getting called up with the War Dogs when he was partnered with Braun Breaker. They had some great battles. I would advise you to go back and see those feuds with all that mesh. Those 3 men and 4 with Braun, they got great chemistry. So I'm excited to see him back in the WWE. when he returned, but he came in with that MLW type of attitude, taking out his opponents, guys. I loved it. The former skyscraper from MLW down, back, returning home. Baron Corbin, they say Baron Corbin, no Bishop Dyer, no Tom Pescott. It's back to Baron Corbin. Did you like to see him back and his entrance, his return?
Yes, I like it because I love when the big men come in here and rumble. I'm cool with it. The WWE needs more of this. We need more bigger men who actually fit the bill, the presentation of being a world beater. Baron Corbin looks like he could whoop your ass every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So I like this, and they need to commit to it. Don't have Carmelo Hayes take that belt off Trick Williams. Let Baron Corbin do it, and then have Melo Hayes go over him. Go that route. I like it. Yes, because we cannot play around. This is Baron Corbin's second time in this company. Well, you can argue say third because he went down to NXT to come right back up. So don't play with the fan. The fan. We got Austin Theory who has never recovered. Baron Corbin could be that same way. Don't do that. Go to SummerSlam, have Corbin go over Trick Williams, move Trick to the main event, and have Melo Hayes go beef with him. Go that route. Don't play with Baron Corbin. Just go with it.
Chris, your thoughts?
I agree. But I
like
gotta
that.
Say, I'm still surprised that WWE's re-signed or got Baron Corbin. Like they wanted him to come back. I'll be honest. But he is one of the safest workers in the business. I mean, you could put him with anybody, somebody you don't want him to get hurt, yada yada. He's so safe, which I hope that doesn't come against him. And he's just one of those people that go out there and have a good match with him, yada yada. So yeah, like Hall said, do something with Baron Corbin because he has good height. I always thought he was okay his second run, like when he was with Breaker and back in NXT, but he was booked terribly in his first run. I mean, he's the worst Money in the Bank holder ever. It wasn't good. So, like Hall said, don't drop the ball with Corbin because I actually really respect what he does. And I think he would be a solid United States champion. So, yeah, I hope if they book him, fine. I think this is good. But the debut was good. The debut was fine. I have nothing wrong with the debut. I just don't want history to repeat itself with him.
You know why I'm laughing here? Because it just hit me, Chris and us. I said, shit, he's not going to be the guy underneath. He's not the gingerbread man incarnated underneath the sheet for Danhausen like everybody said. I just hope it's not Mike Santana.
Oh, my God. It has to be a New York Knicks player, bro.
The rumor is, well, I heard this from another place. I can't remember where I heard it. They think it might be Enzo and Cass.
That makes more sense, bro.
Because
I don't want to see Enzo wrestle. I know. I'm not. He's fucking good as shit on the mic. Have him be Big Bill's like advocate or manager, like you guys said. Bring valets back in wrestling. Fucking bring managers back in WWE.
Yeah. I'm trust me. I'm for it. I am for it.
I do not want to see. It's gonna run its course. They're gonna come out there. My name is Enzo Amore, and this is Big Cass, and he's 7 foot tall, and you can't see that. That shit's gonna run its course after a month.
Don't be soft.
Don't be soft. Like, bro, him on the mic is fucking money. And Kev, I'm gonna be honest, him at Slammiversary sucked. Him on the mic at Slammiversary was terrible. All he did was talk about how Zilla Fatu came out of prison. And fucking, he got 3 baby mamas and shit, or 2 baby mamas and 1 girl, and he's still making. That shit was awful. So he needs to get away from this 4th rope crap. Oh, they're not gonna let him do 4th rope anymore.
Oh no, the 4th rope. And Zilla's gone too. Zilla's done. Zilla's reported signed with the WWE.
I think we'll see him on SmackDown soon. After all this shit with Solo and Jacob and all that shit last night, yeah, I think he's gonna come on SmackDown.
I say this. I say this. I think they're gonna. due to the fact of the situation that's happening with Jey Uso with the divorce, gave you some time off to clear his head. I wouldn't be surprised if Sila Fatu takes out Jey Uso for a couple of weeks. He becomes his holy shit moment, like he took out Jey Uso, and Sila shows up, and Jay could go off of TV for a little bit, get his situation, his marital life in order, or whatever the final proceeding of his divorce, which is none of our business. Give him this space, give him his time, but away from TV, where that dies down and clears up. He comes back to television to try to, and that's his first feud with Sila. I think Sila will take out Jey Uso. That's a way you could write him out, introduce him in the story. Where it fits, that's up to WWE Creative. I don't know. But I think Jey Uso is going to be probably taken out by Sila Fatu when that happens. If Sila's not going to NXT, which I don't think he's going to NXT, I think he's going to go right to the main roster, in my opinion.
Kev, I disagree. I think Jay might get 2 weeks at max. They're not going to write him off television. TKO make it
couple weeks.
He gets 2 weeks, Kev. TKO is not going to let.
That's enough.
They're not going to let the Yeet Man take that many days off.
No, I'm not saying 6 months. I'm not saying the 6 months. Just a couple weeks off. I know they need people. They need him for SummerSlam. Wouldn't be surprised if Sila Fatu makes his appearance at Saturday night's main event.
Oh, yeah, fair.
And then he takes him off for a couple weeks, and then but Jay comes back at SummerSlam. Some type of long. I could see something along those lines. Again, they got plenty of time. They have to just cross the T's and dot the I's, like they call it there. And I make this situation, and I was saying this. I made a statement to, and I'm gonna see how you guys do. Chef, he goes, no. Let's say, because of what happens to Sami Zayn. If Sami Zayn, should he stay in the WWE? If he leaves the WWE? I told this to Chef. I was having a conversation and said, if Sami Zayn were to ever leave WWE and show up at AEW, that's kind of like I compared it to Kirk Angle going to TNA. He goes, no way, no how. I'm not saying that they're going to wrestle the same way or the impactful, but the eyeballs and the next level, I think Sami Zayn could do that for AEW. That's just a hot take.
Kev, if the rumor is true and Sami Zayn was the superstar that took the 50% pay cut, I would have went to AEW anyway. Sami Zayn he would be worth millions at AEW. I mean, he's overpriced, but you think Tony Khan would get that man about a $2 to $3 million contract? He would do it, and he would belt him up just like he did Ciampa, because Sami Zayn is a better worker than Tommaso Ciampa. So,
and him owning Ring of Honor, oh yeah, he will fucking kill to have Sami Zayn back in TNA or AEW. He would kill to have him in AEW.
That's why. Yes, go ahead, Ross.
So that's my caveat. If it's true, if he took that 50% pay cut, he could go to AEW tomorrow and be a big time champion right now.
That's why I said, do you think that comparison is online? Because remember how what he said about Kurt Angle was that kind of guy, that bout machine. Sami Zayn will wrestle like maniac and tell stories in his wrestling match. That's why I kind of compared it a little bit to that. I know it's a little bit far fetched. I know.
I mean,
but I kind of see that if that were to ever happen. Oof.
There are a bunch of people I would like to see Sami Zayn work with in AEW. It's not like one of the, because we talked about Santana, like there's whatever, like there are a few people I would actually like to see him work with in AEW, like Ospreay and MJF. Hangman I fucking can't stand Hangman, but I think Hangman and Sammy would be all right. Like there are a few handful of people. But
and another
ahead,
thing too. I know we're just talking hypothetically speaking. Don't you do you think the Saudi market would move a little bit if Sammy was to go to AEW?
I think they're too in it with the E.
No, I'm just talking about. Do you think some people would be like, "Oh man, I'm gonna subscribe to HBO Max if it's available over there"?
No,
no. Remember, they dictate. They're
No. Watching AEW down there right now is probably a sin. They're probably going to jail. I'm being so dead ass. They'll probably go to jail. No AEW. We are in it with the E.
Death matches. No infidel.
Oh, yeah, it's too gore for them.
No, AEW doesn't have a Riyadh season.
That too. Yeah.
I don't know.
Sure,
I just made that comment.
Tony's some of his NFL shit. I'm sure he's in it with Riyadh season a little bit. But
That's why I mentioned that. That's why I came out and mentioned that about Sami Zayn. I'm not saying he's leaving or anything like that, because rumor has it, we all know for sure. And coincidental, we had that last Saturday. If you haven't checked out my co-host, my partner here for the Luke Menzies show, we got Luke Menzies his first interview was me interviewing him, my co-host, and we'll be having him coming back on. He's got a big matchup coming up in the independent scene next week. It's going to be his first time leasing up his boots. He's going to be up and down the European or British independent scene. Can't wait to hear his adventures, who he interviews, and what here on the Sports Jedi Media Network with Luke Menzies. We talked about Sheamus. We checked out that interview where Sheamus had when he felt he was his lackey under Sheamus, and he felt that there was no ceiling. There was a ceiling, but that's it. He was only going to be a certain amount because Sheamus was the big guy there. 24 hours later, Sheamus announces his departure of the WWE. Interesting enough, when we were talking about Sheamus with Luke Menzies, it was funny enough to see Sheamus no longer part of WWE. It was weird because you think of him as a lifer, but other than the Intercontinental title, I didn't see anything there. Everybody wanted him to get fed to Obafemi, but I think it ran its course, Chris.
I agree. I agree with you.
I don't see Haas. You think there was more meat on the bone there with Sheamus?
No. Like,
No.
In the internet, the wrestling fans got to realize this is a business first. Everybody cannot have a contract. People do age out of this thing. And with Sheamus, a great worker, he was prone to get hurt in these latter years. And then we can't be. This makes me sound like I'm backing TKO. I just know business. You can't be paying liabilities like this. Like, Sheamus is not Roman Reigns. Sheamus is not CM Punk. We can't be paying you millions of dollars and you're not getting pushed and you're also hurt. Like, I know he has this podcast on the side where he does the workout videos with all the superstars and stuff. Metrics wise, it must not generate that much viewership to justify how much he was getting paid. So, and for also, I don't want to hear none of this AEW stuff from Sheamus. We get the roster's too big for a guy like Sheamus. They already got people who are crying to get on television. Wink, wink, Willie Mack. We got guys like that are crying to get on television. Don't sign Sheamus. Come on. Let Sheamus go to HOG or any other independent promotion. Make the money on the indies because he probably has a year or two left of whatever he wants to do. Just let him go to the indies and make money. But there was no more meat on the bone for Sheamus in the WWE.
No, I believe he was one of those that asked for a pay, was asked to take a pay cut and decline, and rightfully so. You have the right to think what your worth is, and they let you go there. If he would have taken a pay cut, it would have been interesting to see him in AAA. I think there would have been a new fan base to see him in AAA coming out there. Would have been something different, but then you start saying, well, here they go, for forcing non-Mexicanos in AAA to win titles and being pushed. But I get the different. Maybe we'll see him maybe in TNA. We'll see that there. I don't know. I don't know what Sheamus is going to do. It'll be interesting to see where maybe you'll probably see him here on the Sports Jedi Network Media with Luke Menzies having a conversation about their days in the Brawling Brutes. Stay tuned. Luke Menzies is, again, he's one of our co-hosts here, one of our partners here that's come aboard to work with us here on the Sports Jedi Media Network. And of course, we'll see him when he returns. And for Luke, we're definitely going to be watching his career. He's got also doing some workout as a personal trainer. He's got a line coming up for supplements. You'll be seeing us pushing and promoting. And of course, the demand wants booking. So if Luke Menzies is clear. So if you guys want, of course, Ring of Honor, AEW, TNA, put that man to work, man. OVW, Boca Raton, Luke Menzies. So the information is there. Get all the contact. We want to see my guy, our friend. Work. He's got 3 children. He's got he wants to work. He's ready. He's healed. So with that said, man, I don't got anything here but say thank you guys for accompanying me here this Saturday afternoon talking some wrestling. It's good to speak to you guys and seeing what the world of professional wrestling is there going on. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to PJ's Chris TV. Football season around the corner, so he's got some Steelers stuff coming up, and they've got a lot to talk about that. Please, of course, and we want to bring on to say hello to Mets, the Mega Mets, who will be seeing him here on this channel doing G1 Climax tonight. So he'll be breaking down the G1 Climax from New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's going to throw some wrestling content here as well. Tomorrow, Garden of Thought, 6 mythological creatures that Sean, the Rams fan, and Mr. Jeff Lippman will be breaking that down on the podcast here, the Garden of Thought. So they're going to be bringing that, and we got content all the time here on the channel, all different ones, but we cannot do it without your support. So please don't forget, hit that like, subscribe, and share. And may the sports be with you guys. Guys, have a wonderful afternoon, man. We're going to run the outro. We out of here.